How is it going, everyone? It is finally that time of the year. And no, I'm not talking about Christmas because I know that's in a week's time. But no, it is the fourth time we are doing this 24 hours of Formula One charity stream in 2021. It's amazing that we've already got a few donations going on for this stream already. I think even before the stream started, I was seeing donations popping up. A lot of first-time viewers in this chat as well, so it's always good to see. If you haven't been caught up with it at the moment, you can see all the drivers that are just sort of rotating through the screen now, on, as I said, on your screen. And yeah, the charities that we've got for this year are for Special Effect and for Young Minds Trust. And before we do just get into it any further, I am just going to quickly play you a quick video of what's going on with the Special Effect charity. So yeah, bear with me for 1 second, and I'll be back with you in a very, very short moment.
Since I became a teenager, I've been very unhappy and have had severe mental health problems. This, I know now, was due to my diagnosis of rapid cycling bipolar. I started to self-harm, I struggled at school, and my life at home was literally like a war zone because I was suffering so desperately and taking it out on my parents. I didn't know what was going on with me, and neither did other people. They thought I was acting like a typical teenager, or just doing it to get attention. Therefore, I didn't get the help I really needed. I felt so alone, and eventually I was admitted to hospital. But this wasn't to a children's ward, this was to an adult's ward because there were no children's beds available. But this was years after I started to struggle. I needed this help at the beginning, before it got so bad. This is my right, and the right of every young person out there who is suffering like me. So sign my petition now, so that children and young people across the country can get the help they need when they need it, before it's too late.
Nobody likes being left out. That's why Special Effect are helping people with physical disabilities to play video games. But this isn't just about having fun. The gaming setups we create are personalised, so people can play to the very best of their abilities. And that opens the door to inclusion and independence, confidence and creativity. Help us level the playing field and create more magical gaming moments. Because it's everyone's turn to play.
Right, so yeah, I meant to play the just the Special Effect one, but I played both for you guys anyway. So yeah, as I said, they are all the ones for yourselves for as I said, with everything that's going on with these two charities, and these are obviously the charities that we are raising this for you guys for today and for tomorrow. So yeah, as I said, I really hope we can blow those goals out of the water, shall I say. As I said, I want to be able to try and raise as much money as I possibly can for it, and yeah, as I said, hopefully we can get something going for them as well. I'm just trying to get something to work at the moment. For some reason it doesn't want to be working, and then we can cut straight into the qualifying because it's going to be starting right about now-ish. So do just bear with me for one quick second and we'll get straight over to the action on our side. Let me get this up for you 1 second. But is the qualifying actually starting, Dan? Because it looks as if it might be a little bit glitched at the moment. And the first race, that's not good.
Yeah, there was a bit of a pause on the lobby timing. Now we look to be counting into it very soon. So hopefully we'll get the on-track action in just a little moment for the first of 22 races of this historic 24-hour. I can't believe it's here again. It's just the level of excitement and buzz around is always just fantastic when this event comes around. We are coming to the end of that countdown, so we'll see if we do actually get going now. Yes, it's all running. We can now get qualifying underway.
Brilliant. So there you go. Qualifying right underway, and I'll get the timer started as soon as we start this first race. Of course, we are going to be riding on board with IRL Neon, and just so you guys are made aware for the event, the first race and the final race, no one is going to be starting last. So this is just straight out qualifying to the end for this one shot, and of course it is a 2-stop race as well. Everyone has to be doing 2 stops in the races. Otherwise, they essentially get disqualified from it as well. Points-wise as well, how it's going to work. Everyone gets points because it is a charity event. Everyone will get it. But yeah, as I said, that's the main purpose of this, is for charity. So yeah, as I said, hopefully we can try and raise as much as we can. As I said, as you can see already at the bottom of the screen, so we're already up to quite a significant amount just within the first 15 minutes of starting the stream. So hopefully that's a sign of very good things to come. Still run aboard of IRL Neon though, making his way through the end of Sector 2 now, and down in 17th position at the moment. Silly Sly Guy and Sam Corby just sort of fighting it out at the top at the moment. Campbell and George's Nader as well for QVR and for Team Shipfingers. I think if I said that right, I still cannot get that right for the life of me. But yeah, as I said, hopefully, you know, for IRL Neon, because we're riding on board with him at the moment, he's going to try and make this on up Dan. But coming around the final corner now is I believe Bottle Job Racing, sorry, not Bottle Job, Tic Tac and Co. As Silly Sly Guy already at the end of the line, putting it on pole, 26.5. And I think that was a significant margin for Sam Corby in second.
Yeah, I'll tell you, in a one-shot qualifying session at Jeddah, that is quite a stonking lap. We'll run through that order. As I said, of course, no real dramas with this race in terms of, you know, double points, in terms of starting at the back. So if you run through it, Sly Guy, as you said, really, really dominant for Elite Racing Team. So he looks to set up the mark. 6/10 clear of George's Nader. In second spot, then it's Sam Corby, QVR Campbell, Ash Best, IFR Joel, T1000 Zach, SXT Lars, Vapor Russell, and Carmentalist rounding out the top 10 of the order. Behind that is Maledictus, Rice, Big Panther, Foxy Red, Keller Blue, Raji, I think, IRL Neon, Hookie, Speed Quinn, and TDG Waffles were unable to get on the board. But of course, we do have a lengthy race ahead for these guys to sort themselves out. And you know, to open the account at Saudi Arabia, such a technical and borderline dangerous track, is going to be a real challenge. And for all these guys, I'm sure maybe they weren't looking for such a challenge on the very first race, but it is certainly, we're not easing these guys in, we're straight in with a very difficult race at Saudi Arabia ahead.
That's the whole point. We've got to be going straight for it, haven't we? There's no way in trying to sort of sugarcoat it as much as we can. No, as I said, this is for this charity event, so we've got to be putting on an absolute show for everyone. But yeah, as I said, Silly Sly Guy, the one that's currently on pole position for the first race. I am just trying to get the timer up so we can get that one straight away. There is a formation lap, so at least it gives me an extra little bit of time. But yeah, thanks to everyone that's already in the stream, already chatting, trying to spread this as much as you possibly can. Already at the start with 100 viewers, so absolutely insane. I've seen FRR Ginger just put donating an extra £5 as well. I'll get the donations up very, very shortly as well, so we can just run through them. But yeah, I said absolutely insane of what's going on so far. Elite Racing Team, 125 quid at the start of the stream. Okay, whoa! Okay, okay.
Yeah. We're not messing around, Jack. We're straight into it. Again, just get those donations flowing because we're raising money for 2 great charities, and I want to see us try and top the mark that we set last time. It was an incredible donation total, but if we can just get as much as we can flowing into that, I think I'll be donating myself. I hope that you will as well, Jack. Just get as much as we can flowing through, and yeah, just raise as much money as possible, and yeah, just make a change for the good in this world. Just something to make us all feel good about ourselves, and of course, make others feel good about their lives. That's what we're all here for, and that's why we're doing this. So, yeah, keep that money flowing in, and we should have a great event. Hopefully we raise plenty. Hopefully the drivers put on a great show out there on track as well. We've got 25 laps ahead of us here, so we'll look forward to this because it should be a great event that we're just getting into now.
Yeah, exactly, and just in the chat as well, I've just put in the commands that you need if you want to get the donations, or the donation links, as well as them being down in or down below of the stream as well. But yeah, Silly Sly Guy in the Red Bull for the Elite Racing Team, putting it on pole position, so a very good start for those guys at the moment. And yeah, as I said, a few other guys as well. George's Nader in second, Sam Corby in third, with QVR Campbell in fourth, and Ash Best in fifth. Those top 5 already coming out very, very strong in this qualifying. As I said, I was saying this to you just before we started this as well. The first time I'm actually doing any sort of comms on Jeddah or even looking at the track on the game. I haven't particularly done any since the beginning, so yeah, I'm very, very intrigued on this one. So yeah, I can't wait to see how this one's going to start. But Dan, we're literally lining up now just for the first race. Have you got yourself any particular predictions? Because, I mean, City Sly Guy and Sam Corby, I would say they're almost on the brink of F1 Esports, personally. So, I think this is going to be a very, very interesting race, to say the least.
Yeah, it should be very interesting. When is Jeddah not interesting, I'd say. But, yeah, Silly Sly Guy, hard to look past him, it must be said. That pace he showed in the one-shot qualifying session is just immense. That's quicker than just about anyone could do in perfect conditions. In one-shot conditions, he's managed that. But we are now getting ready with the grid lining up. All 20 drivers ready to go racing. I'll hand it back to you, Jack, for 25 laps of Jeddah to kick off the event here in what should be a cracking race.
Absolutely insane. As I said, already an insane start with just that £125 donation from ERT. But we have got the 3, the 4, the 5 red lights for the first event of the first race of the event, and it's lights out and away we go, and the timer will now get started. And you can see City Sly Guy getting a very good start as he normally does. Georges Nader and Sam Corby line up alongside, coming through turn 2 and just manages to capitalise off of that. QVR Campbell trying to go to the Charles Leclerc route, but has to back out of that one now, allowing Ash Best to try and go down the inside in towards turn number 4. He's going to be able to get a move done. Yes, he certainly does, but pushes him out ever so slightly. I think Ash Best manages to get that position done as there's a Haas going almost clearing into the wall, but manages to keep it on track anyway. QVR Campbell all over the back of Ash Best, but not able to get any sort of move done. Ash Best managing to take that P4 position, and yeah, very clean start from everyone at the beginning, but already you can see City Sly Guy completely dominating this already.
Yeah, he got such a good start when everyone was scrapping away behind. Small incident at the back on the main straight. I saw Speed Quinn and Big Panda getting caught up in that then. Further back in the midfield, you can see them all jostling away through the S section then, going back and forth. But of course, very difficult to follow, very difficult to overtake in this section of the track then. I'm watching Foxy Red and QVR Maledictus. The Aston Martin slips through on the inside. Of course, different tyre choices. Remember, it is a 2-stop strategy mandatory. So these guys are all going to have to try and manage that. And you expect a lot more pushing early on in the race rather than conserving, which is what this 2-stop strategy is going to bring out of these drivers. But you can see them all squabbling away, then slipstreaming down the straight up towards turn 27. I'm watching Ariel Carmenzel's having a look at Vapor Russell, covers the line and attacks T1000 Zach, but over the line they go to end the first lap. It's very, very closely fought, a lot of close battles on then, as T1000 Zach has gone into the pit lane. And is this maybe the first, unless he has got damage, maybe we're seeing the first of the gamesmanship strategies in terms of this 2-stop, coming in on the first lap and trying to grab that undercut.
Certainly could be. SXT Lars making a very nice move on IFR Joel, going through turn 1 and turn 2, just keeping that inside for that chicane, so very nicely done from him. Yeah, Lars already up now into 6th position, trying to chase down QVR Campbell a little bit up in front, who is still hasn't managed to get that position off of Ash Best. Took it off of him on lap number 1. T1000 Zach getting a 5-second penalty for corner cutting, and a few more guys into the pits now as well. I think, as you said, doing that the sportsman or the gamesmanship of that first stop is IFR Joel going wide, yeah. I think at the loop as well. So IFR Joel not exactly having, or already now down into 15th position. Not very good start for him at all. But yeah, City Sly Guy 1.5 seconds now ahead of Georges Nader, and you've also got Sam Corby still keeping within that DRS. Of course, not going to be any DRS until lap number 3, but Sam Corby doing a very good job of just keeping up with George. But George just can't seem to keep up with City Sly Guy up in front. And as you said, even further down the field, a lot of battling going on. There's one massive train from Ash leading with Campbell just behind him, and you could be even seeing a move from Campbell in towards the final corner. I thought he was going to try and pull down to the inside, but no, just sits behind the Lithuanian, just behind, coming up in towards the final corner.
Yeah, but he has got a good run onto the straight. No DRS just yet, but he is going to try and power around the outside towards turn 1. So it's Ash Best and QVR Campbell absolutely level onto the brakes. Campbell trying to go all the way around the outside, pinches the Alpine into the apex, inside for turn 2. That's a great move from Campbell. Peg over steer on the exit. He'll hold on to it though, and on the road towards turn 4, he will maintain the place in the Haas. So he goes up to 4th. You can see them all scrapping away further back then. Edlar Rice trying to hold off QVR Maledictus. They're going nose to tail. There's a lot of nose to tail throughout the track, of course. These guys the top medium runners. IFR Joel has gone into the pit lane further back, so you can see those pit stops starting to come through now early, and it's going to be interesting to see how these guys all approach their strategies for this race, because the two-stop, you can go for the theoretically quickest strategy or the one that gives you track possession. There's a lot of dilemmas, and because we've got two stops, there's a lot more options for these drivers to play with.
Yeah, it certainly is. We just get the tyres up so everyone can see who's on what. So obviously Rosé and Rise and Maledictus, are on a set of the medium tyres in 10th and 11th position. They're going to try and run those a little bit longer and then maybe go for 2 sets of softs towards the end. All the guys that are on a set of softs up in front as well, they're probably going to try and just run these out a little bit, go on maybe another set of softs and go on mediums at the end, or vice versa. But either way, we should be seeing, with this two-stop, a lot of soft, medium, soft, or soft, soft, medium. A little bit further up in front though, Foxy Red closing up to the back of Carmentalist, getting that move done, coming up towards the final corner, and very nice helicopter shot just got out of that. But yeah, Carmentalist now down into 9th position, Foxy Red now up into 8th for Team Has-Beens, but a little bit of oversteer for him, and the Relentless driver might now be looking to come back at the Team Has-Been driver in the Aston Martin. Let's have a look. Carmentalist, I don't think he's actually going to be close enough to get any sort of move done, so he's just going to have to sit behind Foxy Red for now. But you can see this one long train as Campbell holding up the rest of these guys. Ash Best, Lars and Vapor Russell all over the back of the Haas driver, the QVR driver, just getting absolutely swamped, but manages to hold the lead of this in P4 anyway. A little bit further up the field, City Sly Guy just extending his lead even more, now up to 2.5 seconds as Carmentalist getting, I think, one of the first 3-second time penalties. I think the guys at the back got a few 5-second penalties for the exit of the pit lane, so hopefully we don't get any more of those. But yeah, Carmentalist's first 3-second time penalty that I can think of. Just trying to keep up with these guys.
Yeah, certainly the pace is very, very frantic, and no one is setting a higher pace than Silly Sly Guy up at the front. George Nader and Sam Corby, they're kind of able to match that pace now, but they'll drop back so quickly off at the start. That's battle for P4. No one can quite live with the top three, and they're all just scrapping away with each other. Foxy Red looks to be the man on the move, though, in terms of pace. He is really coming into his own. He's all over the back of Vapor Russell, tries to sneak right outside into the DRS, so can he power past the Aston Martin up towards the final corner? Let's see, they're side by side, but eventually the Aston is in front of the Williams. Up in front, they're also scrapping then. Down the inside, around the outside, Lars looking on Ash Best. Foxy Red has got the move done, and he's looking much quicker than the guys around him at this stage. Now watch this battle. Up for fourth. The Sly Guy is out of the session. He must have disconnected as Campbell is swamped on the straight. As they flag him from out of sight, Ash Best goes through. Lars goes through in a P5 as well in front of the Haas then. Foxy Red defending, but Sly Guy in a bit of heartbreak for the Red Bull, disconnected from the lobby and is now dropping back. Hopefully he can get himself back in, but that is dreadful luck for the Red Bull man. And for Elite Racing Team, for what was looking like a dream start, has just faded away very, very quickly. I'll try and get him back in.
Yeah, very unfortunate for Silly Slag. Hopefully he can get himself back in very, very quickly. But yeah, I mean, as you said, very nice move from Ash Best and Lars. Maledictus picking himself up a 3-second time penalty for the Olimpo team, or the Portuguese team, down in 11th position in AlphaTauri. So yeah, but Campbell, I don't think there was much that he could do. He just got absolutely swamped by Ash and Lars, and yeah, obviously now led it up into third and fourth position respectively, with obviously City Sly Guys AI just now joining this little train with all of these guys. But yeah, so that now promotes Georges up into the lead of the race. Sam Corby following suit, only 9/10 of a second behind as well. So yeah, I think things are going to get very, very interesting to say the least. As yeah, you can see here, Carmentalist maybe trying to eye up a move on Vapor Russell coming up towards the final corner. Just keep an eye on the Relentless driver. As oh yes, is he? No, he's not back in his car yet. I don't think so.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Carmentalist, yeah, just still eyeing up that move, but that's now allowed
Apologies.
Lars to get into the lead of this train as Campbell's in. So QVR Campbell in this train is now coming in for his first stop. And Carmentalist is following suit. Ash going down the inside of Lars for that P3 position. And yeah, so Ash Best now up into the podium position. Lars into 4th, Foxy Red in 5th. And yeah, Vapor Russell in 6th. And it's now, or what was like a 7-car train, is now down to 5.
Yeah, so it is beginning to split up then. I'm going to be interested to see how those guys that pitted very early on, how they're going to come out of it. Joel is looking pretty decent, but he is off the back of that train. as it stands. So Campbell Carmentelis, they have opted to go for that undercut on the rest of the guys. They've picked for mediums, of course. They will have to stop again. So these strategies are going to be interesting to see how they play out. As I was watching Aspest, he got very close to the wall at turn 13, and that's going to hold him back a little bit. He's got Lars all over his rear wing. Got to keep half an eye on that fight for the lead as well. As Sam Corby is still sticking with George Nader, but those two are fairly comfortably out in front at the moment. Silly Sly Guy has still not been able to get back in, unfortunately. Lars just sitting back for the moment as TDG Waffles picks up a penalty. Of course, it's such a fast and frantic track. You can definitely pick up those pens as Lars now to the outside with DRS. He's going to blast past before the last corner, and Foxy Red now is going to follow through this long straight, diving inside into the hairpin. Is he in too deep? He gets it stopped in time, and bit of wheelback with Ash Best nearly goes into the wall, but that was an opportunistic and aggressive move from the Aston Martin driver. Foxy Red driving for Has-Beens. You can see now George Nader has gone into the pit lane, and I think that pit stop serves to try and get him out of that undercut range, and also get him out of that DRS range, but he's come in, so is Killer Blue, so it's going to be interesting to see where he emerges. Sam Corby, he's going to need a stonking in lap to try and stay within that range.
Yeah, no, he certainly will, because Sam Corby was the one that was actually trying to follow George's Nader in that. But the only thing for George now is that he's come out about 5 seconds behind Maledictus. Maledictus and Rise, I don't think are going to be looking to make any stops anytime soon, as George actually picks up a 3-second time penalty. So, Sam Corby, I think you might be in the driving seat now, my friend. I think it's going to be a bit of a tight one. It's a little bit further up. Lars and Foxy Red both going side by side through the loop. Foxy Red getting that move done on Lars as well. So, Foxy Red, I've seen him drive before. I've never seen this pace come out of him, so I'm now looking forward to seeing what he's going to be doing for the rest of this event. But yeah, Foxy Red now up ahead of Lars and Ash Best and Vapor Russell. This 4-car train now in this little battle, and you can see I think Lars might even be trying to go for a move on Foxy Red as they come up towards the end of Sector 2. I think he just has to maintain that position for now, but he's going to get the DRS on Foxy Red now, where the DRS should be open very, very shortly. And yeah, in fact it's already open. So yeah, Lars going to try and look to go around the outside in towards the final corner, using a little bit of his DRS to get that overtake done. The thing is, he may not have the DRS for the final corner, but let's have a look. Foxy Red keeping that inside curve and just has to back out of that one. So Lars, very nicely done, as Foxy Red and Ash go into the pits, and I think Vapor Russell might have even followed them as well as Ash. 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane, unfortunately. Sam Corby also followed in, so it is now Lars into the lead of this race. Where is George going to emerge? You can see him just coming now through the start-finish straight. Is Sam going to be emerging out in front? No, he's going to be behind George, so got the undercut, did the Alpine driver, although saying that, Sam looks a little bit closer than what he was originally, as Campbell now picking up I think his first 3-second time penalty, and we're going to see a lot more guys make their way into the pits.
Yeah, and you can see how strong that undercut was for Campbell and Carmentelis though, because they have jumped several seconds up in front of Foxy Red. Ash Best has lost quite a lot in the pit lane, even with that penalty, which I think he got it before the pit limiter line, so I'm not exactly sure. As Maledictus is out of the race. Maledictus heading through that first sector, and he has gone off. And I think that's around about turn 9. So that's Mala off. Of course, there will be no safety cars here, but that is just a very difficult part of the track, that high-speed section, spinning off. And that is bitter bad luck as well for QVR Maledictus, because, well, of course, you're scoring points for any position that you finish in, so he will have not been looking for that at all, as I'm seeing more battles. Hooky moving past Joel there further back. But I guess, yeah, we've seen bad luck for Elite Racing Team, and now we're seeing All Olimpo having their bad luck. Silly Sliger has got back into the lobby, so he will hopefully take up control of his car, but the damage has already pretty much been done with his race. He's a long way back now.
Yeah, and I think he actually had a collision with IFR Joel, because he actually is losing a little bit of his front wing as well. So the only thing I can think of is he had a collision with IFR Joel. So I think they were relatively close together anyway. So yeah, like I said, very unfortunate for him in that, and unfortunately no points for the Olimpo guys. But yeah, further up in the field, George Nader still in the lead of the race. Carmentelis jumping up ahead of QVR Campbell, now up into 4th position, as well as SXT Lars coming out of the pits and coming out side by side with Foxy Red. A little bit of contact between the pair of them, both having that spin. I don't know what had just happened there with the pair of them. SXT Lars just resetting to track as Foxy Red just getting himself back underway. Vapor Russell almost going into the back of Lars from that, but yeah, I mean, that might have been, I think that's the second bit of contact that we've seen through tonight. And I literally just caught a glimpse of it. I don't know if Lars got squeezed to the wall when that just happened or what, but That looked very close, and luckily I think both drivers somehow got away without any damage.
We've got that reduced damage on that's clearly having some effect, but yeah, that is desperately unlucky. I think that basically, I don't think that either driver was forced into the wall. They just came together. It's such a tight part of the track. Not really any driver's fault, I'd say. Ours has got Vapor Russell for company towards that T1. It's a late lunge, does the Williams, but he does back out of it in the end. So Foxy Red, though, he must have had damage because he's come into the pit lane. So we saw that incredible driving in the first stint that took him all the way through that trade. But now that major setback, and he can still rescue that race somewhat, but he needs to just get those medium tyres to the end of the race, and he'll still be doing okay.
Yeah, I'm not too sure what had just happened. The stream, for some reason, just died on me. Like the stream has just completely crashed. So hopefully everyone can just quickly do a quick refresh on the stream, and then they should be good to go. But I'm just quickly getting this back up for yourselves as well. So just give me 2 quick seconds whilst I do that. But yeah, apologies guys, I don't know what just happened with all of that. It's just, I know it's the wrong scene, I'm just trying to get this sorted out, but yeah, it's very strange what just happened there. Hopefully we can get this one straight back underway for yourselves. Yeah, I genuinely don't know what had just happened there. Hopefully we should be now back underway. I'm just going to quickly transition that now, and hopefully it should be good. Just trying to have a look. I can hear it, and it's just not working. For some reason, you guys can't see anything at the moment. So let me quickly update that, because I don't know what the heck just went on there. But yeah, I said hopefully we'll be able to get that on the way. You guys should still be able to hear it though. If not, then I'll be quite surprised. But yeah, you should be able to still hear what's going on. So Dan, what's cracking on with the track at the moment?
Well, we've just had a spinner there. Vapor Russell, who was in battle with SXT Lars, he has gone off further down the track. There was some wheel banging down there. I definitely saw that. TDG Waffles moving past Ecos Ragged. So there's still battles all the way through the race at the moment, but there has been a few incidents in the last few laps. Again, hopefully you guys will eventually be able to see this unfolding in front of your eyes yet again. Massive apologies for the way things are currently playing out. Some things that we just can't quite control, unfortunately. I'm just going to come to you, Jack. Do you have the race back up for the stream?
Yeah, we certainly do. We've got this now back up, so apologies for that one. I don't know what on earth went on there, but yeah, Georgia Nader is now the one that's actually dropped back behind Sam Corby in this lead of the race, and Rise as well, catching up slightly to the back of these two as well with all the battling that's going on. Georgia Nader is going to be the one that's going to have the DRS on the Ferrari driver, so let's keep an eye out on the Alpine and see if he can get this move done coming up towards turn 1. He's got DRS now wide open, but I don't think he's going to be close enough. It's not a very long run down towards turn 1, and yeah, Sam Corby just maintains the lead of the race. Rise though, with that DRS starting to gain onto the back of him. A little bit further down the field as well, Carmentalist trying to get that move done on QVR Campbell, but just has to maintain his position at the moment behind the Haas driver. So yeah, Campbell just doing everything he can just to stay up in that 4th position at the moment. Even further down the field, Killer Blue makes his way up into 7th position. He's gone on another set of the soft tyres, interestingly enough, so he'll be going on the medium tyres towards the end of the race. So a little bit of a strategy from what everybody else is doing, but it could pay off for him.
Yeah, it's good to actually go a little bit different on strategy. I think there's Ariel, Neon, and Hookie are fighting away through the first sector. Neon had to take to the AstroTurf there on the outside because he was in battle then as TDG Waffles is trying to work his way through the end of the first sector, but ultimately unable to get past the Red Bull, who is offline though, and towards turn 13. Is there an opportunistic move there? A little bit of a short burst of DRS up towards the long hair, but he breaks incredibly late as the Haas, trying to go with the right outside, and there's contact, and round goes the Red Bull. He nearly collects Raggy Sly Guy, but Hookie round. I don't think there was really much fault on either driver, but ultimately spinning around. It was a bold move from Waffles, but I think he left enough space, and I think Hookie just got caught on the inside, had to go round, but ultimately very disappointing, and that's a lot of time lost and damage. So 2 big blows to the race of Hookie 66.
Yeah, it certainly is. The Esports Welsh driver not having a very good start. He did look like he was having a pretty decent one, but it's unfortunately just not paid off for him. As Commentalist getting the move done on QVR Campbell and a little bit further down the field, looking on the Big Panther, getting the move done on TTG Waffles and potentially IRL Neon as well. This could be 2 moves in the space of 1 straight. Let's have a look at the Nordic E-Racing driver, and he goes around the outside. A little bit of a nudge from TTG Waffles on the back of IRL Neon, but a very nice move from the Big Panther to get himself up into 9th position. Only problem now, though, is he's going to be absolutely swamped by everybody else getting DRS off of the back of them. So where he got that move done anyway, it's basically been null and void. He's now just had to drop back 1 position at least. It's not 2, but he's managed to only drop back 1 position behind IRL Neon. So now Big Panther down into 10th position, but again, on a set of the soft tyres, he can do sort of a similar strategy to what Killer Blue is doing. He's going to go on a set of the soft tyres. In fact, actually goes around the outside of Neon. I think that was turn 6 he went around the outside, interestingly enough.
Yeah, the extra grip just taking him all the way through. Silly Sly Guy's right at the back of this, and he's made an opportunistic move on TDG Waffles. Will slip right through it to P11, so he's on the comeback trail now, right up behind Ariel Neon. So the Red Bull looks to get past the Williams. You see how that is going to unfold. A lot of battle guys sticking together out on the track then. Sam Corby leading from George Nader, who's taking this opportunity to just save some of that battery behind the Ferrari. Man, he was very low earlier in the race. Now he's managed to save that up a good amount. Carmentalist and Campbell are fighting away. Carmentalist with a mega oversteer off of 27. I think he will maintain the place. He's burning some of that battery to stay in front of Campbell. Campbell, though, will fight it back. Goes all the way around the outside, and the DRS is just so powerful. Behind, Waffles has used that to catapult himself past IRL Neon. Raji will get through it as well. Sly Guy now making the move, so they're all following through here. The Red Bull locks it all up, and back down the inside, he's actually got damage, so I'm not sure where he's picked that up, but he's now going to drop back, and another blow to his race. He'll have to dive to the pit lane. So will Neon. I didn't catch that, but those two must have had it coming together.
Must have done, because yeah, I was about to say I couldn't see a front wing on the front of City Sly Guys, so very, very strange that that's happened, but yeah, absolutely insane with that as well. Quite an interesting one, or quite an interesting battle going on. The guys in the lead of the race, obviously George Nader and Sam Corby both made their pit stop. Rise still hasn't pit, and he's keeping up with these guys. In fact, starting to drop out ever so slightly now, but he keeps within that DRS of these front two, interestingly enough, which is just allowing him just to keep on gaining on them and getting a lot more time up ahead of the guys behind him. Now, I mean, Maledictus was the other one that went on a set of mediums, but a few other guys making their pit stops. I think Lars has just pitted for his second pit stop, so he's all done on pit stops. Foxy Red, I think, might also be all done on pit stops as well. Just have a quick double check with stops. Yeah, so Lars, Foxy Red, IFR Joel, IRL Neon, Silly Sly Guy and Hookie all doing their second stops, and even just behind Rise makes his first pit stop now, so he may drop down a little bit further in the order very, very soon. But as I say, one battle also that I'm quite intrigued on is this one with Campbell and Carmentalist. I mean, if anyone knows these two drivers, maybe from the League of Europe or from any different other leagues, you know, Carmentalist, I'm very surprised he's doing this well against this QVR driver, because Campbell, I'd say, is probably one of the quicker ones in QVR, so it's quite insane to me that Carmentalist is managing to not only keep up but battling with Campbell, and I think Campbell's giving him a good run. Well, sorry, Carmentalist is giving Campbell a good run for his money. So yeah, Carmentalist is doing a very good job at the moment. In fourth position, of course, he's still got to make one more stop as Killer Blue comes in for his second stop, and Waffles, I think, for his first stop. So everyone's now at least made one stop. Team 1000's actually made 3 stops for the Humble Squad, and is all the way down in 19th position. But yeah, as I said, Carmentalist doing a very good job keeping up with QVR Campbell, and then George's Nader, we could be seeing another move coming up towards the final corner now.
Well, he has just been setting back the last few laps, saving that battery. That said, he is pretty much full of battery now, so if he wants to go for the move, he can. Of course, we will expect to see these guys pitting in the next few laps, I imagine, maybe trying to get out of range of one another. George and Nader closing up, but again, just setting back. Now, what's he going to do on this straight, I wonder? Are we going to see pit stops? We are getting towards that second stop. He does start to burn that battery, does start to open that DRS, close that gap, and goes straight to the inside and leads now in Saudi Arabia. He goes to the front from the Ferrari man as Carmental is behind that. Campbell dives to the pit lane, so an interesting call from the relentless driver looking to try and get a jump on the QVR man. So that's going to be an interesting battle to watch. Those guys going at it for the podium. They've gapped pretty much everyone behind, but NLR Rice could be a factor in that because he's got 2 soft stints to the end now. Of course, he went a long way on those mediums, had great pace on him at the end of the stint, and now he is flying. No penalties to his name at all, and he's now looking to try and chase down Ash Best, who does have 5-second penalty. So right now he's in a net P4. One more stop to make, but you have to say, looking very strong as the Aston Martin making his way through and potentially could be a threat. Carmentus has come out though, and crucially in completely clean air to push on fresh softs and try and get out of range of Campbell.
Yeah, that's going to be massive for Carmentus. Even further down the field as well, you've got Killer Blue and Rage, I think is how you say it, for Ecos and XL. Killer Blue just managing to maintain that position from Rage as he was going side by side through turn 1 and turn 2, but I don't think it is over. Killer Blue, I think, must have made a little bit of a mistake going on a set of softs in the middle stint and then mediums for the end stint. However, it could, as I said, it could still pay off. A little bit further up though, George Nader and Sam Corby both changing positions into the final corner. So Sam Corby now into the lead of this race. Are we going to be seeing both of these guys make their pit stop though? George and Sam with a lot of VRS to play with. Sam in, George stays out, but he got the DRS, so he's going to try and go one more lap and go for an overcut on the Ferrari driver. The undercut worked for George, but now Sam is going to be the one that's in control of this undercut. Is he going to come out though in front of Rise? Because Rise, as you said, he came in a lap or 2 early from these top 2 guys, so Rise could still be within a shot of playing into any factor with these 2 guys. Sam's just coming out of the pit lane now. Rise is out in front of Sam.
Yeah, but I don't think he's going to be much of a hold-up, to be honest. He does still have one more stop to make, remember. So he is going to be coming in after that. Campbell has done a great job on that in-lap to get back out in front of Carmental still. And so it's a straight fight to the end between these guys, but Campbell with a lap fresher tyres. So we'll see how that battle is going to play out. The Big Panther is in P6 at the moment behind these guys. Killer Blue, who's switched up the strategy a bit in this race, is now 7th. He has actually got the jump on Ash Best through the pit stop phase. But the Alpine driver behind, I'm sure, with fresh soft tyres is going to be looking to try and make the most of it. But those 2 guys have done all of their stops. The majority of the field now have done both of their mandatory pit stops. There's just 4 drivers that still are yet to do it. As Sam Corby now up behind Rice, he does actually have that DRS to pull him along, as Georgie, who has used as much ERS as physically possible on this lap, is going to dive to the pit lane. So it's going to be interesting to see where those guys emerge in relation to each other. And still this battle for P3 is a lot to look out for. But I think the main attraction on track right now is Ash Best looking to try to get past Killer Blue. But through this section of track, you don't want to be going for any over-optimistic moves. So he sits up behind the AlphaTauri for the moment, waiting to try and set up that move. And here is the DRS. He goes to the inside, and it will be a straightforward move for the Alpine. It is a straight fight, so Killer Blue may look to try and fight back, but I think softs versus mediums, it's no contest. It's up at the front then. Sam Corbet, he's critically got out in front of Rice, so this is interesting now. Rice is going to stay out a little bit longer on those softs, and it means now that Georgie has to get past and has to do so while staying in the DRS of Sam. He has got the Aston Martin on older tyres in front of him. He's got to try and get this move done, but Rice, I don't think he's going to let it through no, let me eat my words straight away. He goes straight out of the way, and now it's a straight fight. Sam and George, but of course Sam with no penalties, still the favourite. Those fresher tyres he'll try and use to stretch Georgie into burning that battery and struggling more to get that move done.
Yeah, Sam Corby now in the lead of the race. George, obviously, with that 3-second time penalty, is not going to be in his favour whatsoever unless Sam has a bit of a crash. Yeah, Rise just sort of moving out of the way, as you said, for these guys. Carmentalist still holding on to that DRS, but it's starting to pull out a bit more of a gap now. So Carmentalist needs to try and do something to keep within that DRS of QVR Campbell. And even further down the field, Killer Blue has now been passed by Ash Best, and even further up the field, Sam Corby getting overtaken by George into the final corner. So yeah, Sam gonna have that DRS, however, and George gonna need to try and do a little bit of defensive maneuver, although it looks like George actually got a much better exit coming out of that final corner in comparison to the absolute units driver of Sam Corby. And Rise now into the pits to do his second stop. Done 3 laps on a set of the softs, and it's just going to go unchuck on another set of soft tyres. So yeah, he's now made his way in, and we'll see how or where he's going to emerge out once these pit stops come about. I think he's actually going to be around where Vapor Russell and Lars are, or slotted between the both of them. Although saying that, he might even be just behind Killer Blue. In fact, in front of Killer Blue.
Yeah, he's jumped that entire battle then. Ashbeck's Killer Blue's up in front, and he's jumped them fairly considerably, so that's great work. It's a very unusual strategy for NLR Rise, but it seems to have worked, and now he's up into a very strong P5 with no penalties and fresher tyres than just about anyone in the race, so he's got a great opportunity to push a bit more towards the end of this race as well. So Jorginado now is going all out. He knows he has to, and is adamant that he gets out of that DRS range of Sam Corby. That's his only chance of winning this race, because Sam at the moment is good. He's only got one warning, so he's pretty safe at the moment, and he still just about has that DRS. Georgia is pushing with everything he has to, but ultimately not quite working out for the Alpine at the moment, because Sam very comfortably is able to just stay with him, and if he could just keep it out the walls, avoid the penalty, keep it in that DRS range, really there's no problem. But he's got 6 laps of this very technical track to pull it off. He's up behind the Alpine, but that's all he has to do.
Yeah, and even further up in the field, Jorginado still able to hold up ahead of Sam Corby, like you were just saying. A little bit further down though, Campbell looking to go for a move on Carmentis. Carmentis managed to get a move done last time round. Campbell can't get a move done on Carmentis, so Carmentis up into 3rd position. Both have a 3-second time penalty, so they're an even playing field. Whoever finishes up ahead of them is basically the one on the podium. But Rise, I think, caught up with these two battling. 1 second in the last lap. Obviously he needs to do a bit more if he wants a chance of getting on the podium. However, in fact, actually no, he won't. He would need to just keep on catching them by 1 second a lap, and if he does, then he's got a chance of getting himself on the podium with these guys having their 3-second time penalties.
His pace is rapid, but I think that could be partly down to him burning a lot of battery as well. These guys not really battling, it must be said. Campbell is just sitting back. He had an opportunity on the main straight to pass Carmentos, closed his ERS, didn't burn any battery. He is not interested in taking that 3rd position from Ariel Carmentalist. He is biding his time. He is waiting for that opportunity to strike, because he doesn't want to get in front of Carmentalist and then Carmentalist pass him right back. With the DRS at this track, it's very easy for that sort of situation to happen, so he's biding his time looking for that opportunity. Carmentalist holding on. Another fast lap for George Nader. He has burned every last bit of battery as he comes over the line, but it's not enough. Sam Corby just holding on. Campbell will slide right through the 3rd place, and now in front of Carmentalist, but Carmentalist is very high on battery, so he's got that potential in the last 5 laps to try and make some moves in. Rice is still catching these guys about another second on this lap, and he's now burned all of his battery, so I'm not sure if he's going to be able to catch at that sort of rate yet again, but he does only need to find 4 seconds in 5 laps. But there I say that, Campbell with another penalty, now 6 seconds to his name. Now Carmentalist only has to stay within him, and it also gives Rice that chance of jumping through, so Campbell, that penalty as it stands, it's only dropping him behind Carmentalist at the moment, but that could be very, very crucial. He's got to try and push with all he has now and hope for penalties for the guys around him, but that's a blow to Campbell's race that he really didn't need at this stage.
Yeah, he certainly didn't, and even further up the field you can see Sam Corby almost dropping out of DRS from George. In fact, just dropping out of DRS from George now as they're making their way through that the 3rd sector of the track now, and you can see Sam just trying to get within this DRS of George, and once again manages just to get himself back in. But you can see George, that red light flashing on the back of his car. He's been using all of his ERS to stay up ahead of the Ferrari driver, but you can see the DRS now open for Sam, not using his ERS, and look at how much he just gained on a straight on the Alpine driver. George now, I think, under a massive amount of pressure, as we may see a move coming up towards turn 1, just the amount of overspeed that Sam had in comparison to George. In fact, we may be seeing it in towards turn 1. Sam's going to just actually maintain this position at the moment, so just hold back from George, not going for a move in towards turn 1 and 2. And even further down the field, Vapor Russell and Killer Blue just changing positions now. So Killer Blue now down into 8th, Vapor Russell up into 7th position. But Killer Blue will have the DRS on this lap coming towards the final corner. So let's have a look and see if the XL driver is going to be able to retake that position from the Vapor driver. And in fact, very easily, weirdly enough, gets that move done. But saying that, Killer Blue, barely any ERS to his name either. And yeah, as I said, Vapor Russell's going to be seeing that red flashing light on the back of the AlphaTauri, so knows that he needs to get something done.
Up in front, further up the field, Campbell is really pushing. He's just broken 1 second to Ariel Carmentos. Carmentos will try and get himself back into that burning the battery of his own. So Campbell has gone for broke here because he knows he needs to get out of that 3-second win zone. Carmentos looking to just try and pull him back, but Campbell is going all out at this stage in the race, as is George's Nader. But ultimately, Sam Corby is doing just about enough, as you said, just to stay within that range, and then the two powerful DRS zones into turn 27, into turn 1, just pulls him all the way back, and he's almost having to hold himself back from going for that overtaking manoeuvre. So Campbell has managed to break Carmentos for now, but Carmentos now using the battery of his own, because it is certainly within his right, and it's certainly within his interest to just try and get himself up towards that DRS range. I think he just missed it though as he came over the line. So Campbell has an opportunity here, but he needs 3 incredible laps at such high pace with no battery to try and get that 3 seconds that he needs. He's got 1 second in hand right now. He needs 2 more. 3 laps. Tough job ahead for the Haas, but he's going to be going all out.
I'll tell you what, this battle between Sam and George, it kind of reminds me of the actual real life Saudi Arabia Grand Prix. It looks as if George just gets away so much in that first sector, and then Sam, when it comes into the second and third sector, he just gains so much in the straight. George just looks like he's a lot better in the first sector, and then, yeah, as I said, Sam just easing his way back up towards the back of the Alpine, coming through sectors 2 and sector 3. So very interesting thing to note on that one. Yeah, as you said, further down the field, commenter list just can't get back within the DRS of Campbell. Campbell is doing everything he can to try and get out of that 3-second gap from Carmentalist, as Ray's picking himself up, I think, another 3-second time penalty. A few more guys also just picking up a few penalties along the way. Killer Blue still within 1 second of Vapor Russell, and Vapor Russell has a 3-second time penalty to his name as well. In fact, let's have a look at all of the penalties that has gone on so far. So Georgia out in front, 3 seconds, Campbell 6 seconds, Carmentalist at 3, Vapor Russell with 3 seconds, Lars with 6, Silly Sly Guy with 3, Rage with 9 seconds, and then all the way further down in the field you've got Waffles with 15, Iron Neon with 3, Hooky with 3, Zach with 3, and Speed Quinn with 12 seconds. So yeah, lots of penalties around the first track at Jeddah, but hopefully it'll be a lot more cleaner racing to come. Obviously, as I said, a little bit of it was very clean at the beginning, but then just a couple of contacts here and there has made them drop down quite significantly. As I said, further up the field, I don't know if you can see what I mean. Like, George is he was about 3 tenths up in front of Sam Corby. I think obviously the dirty air is playing a massive factor in that, but George was like 3 tenths only up in front of Sam, and he's now dropped it to 8 tenths of a second up ahead of the Ferrari. So I think just through that first sector, George just feels a lot more comfortable. But as I said, I feel like it could just be the dirty air where it's just allowing Sam to just get a bit more understeer through that first sector.
A very common dynamic at this track. Of course, on the other hand, it's those big DRS zones that pull it back. This time Sam's actually managed to stay a bit closer to the first 2/3 of the lap, and now that DRS is so unbelievably powerful. You just get sucked back. There really is no need for this DRS zone into turn 27. I'm sorry, there's just no need at all. But they do it anyway, and now Sam Corby just has to avoid warnings for the last lap, and he is fairly safe in that second place, when what would become first place, of course, for the second place man on the track at the moment. So Sam Corby going very well as it stands right now, and of course looking at trying to pick up an early win for the Absolute unit. So I think Go Ahead is probably one of the favourites to win this entire event, and it would be the perfect start. So Sam just needs to try and bring it home in this last lap. Follows Georgie through as he's done the entire race, and he'll be rewarded with a race victory, and a deserved one at that.
Yeah, for the first event, I think he's probably going to get this one done. I don't think there's going to be any competition unless George can somehow pull out an absolute miracle. I think Sam's pretty much won this race, this first race of the event, and it's looking like George will get second. I think Carmentalist will be that third place again, unless there's an absolute miracle for Campbell. But yeah, Carmentalist, as I said, done very well keeping up with him. Rise has started to catch back up ever so slightly as Ash Best picks himself up a 3-second time penalty. It's all kind of everyone's, I think, kind of already let loose in this first race. It's Joel and Rage going side by side of each other, coming through turns 1 and 2. But yeah, as I said, there's been a lot of battling going on, a lot of it's been, as I said, a relatively clean race anyway. So yeah, very good to see in this first event. Obviously, apologies for the fact that the stream slightly cut out for about a minute or so. But yeah, even into the final corner, Sam Corby's going around the outside of George, and I think Sam's going to just get that move done very nicely, just to capitalise on it. He wanted it on track. He used as much ERS as he possibly can. DRS wide open, but Sam will take the first win of the 24 hours of F1 event. George will take second, and it looks as if Campbell will take third over the line, but Car Mentalist will get the jump on him with those penalties. So it was a valiant effort from Campbell, but Car Mentalist for Relentless finishes in third. Campbell in fourth. Rise will finish in fifth in the end. Very good, considering he started quite significantly down the field, if I'm not mistaken. Ash in sixth. Vapor Russell in seventh. Killer Blue in eighth. Big Panther will finish in ninth. Although I'll say that I think they both may jump up ahead of Vapor Russell with his penalties. Yeah, so Killer Blue will be in seventh. Big Panther in eighth. Vapor Russell in ninth. Lars will finish in 10th. City Sly Guy in the end, a very unfortunate, because he started on pole, disconnected, and ends up down in 11th position. Obviously, I'm sure the ERT guys, in fact, finishes a lot further down. He finishes down in 13th in the end. Foxy Red, without any penalties to his name, jumps up ahead of not only City Sly Guy, but up ahead of Lars as well. So he ends up finishing in 10th. Lars in 11th. Joel jumps up ahead of City Sly Guy, but not in front of Lars. So City Sly Guy will finish in 13th. Rage in 14th. Neon 15th. Waffle 16th. And then it looks as if it'll be Zach, Hooky, and Speed Quinn finishing it all out, as yeah, Hooky couldn't get the jump on Zach either.
Yeah, well, that is going to be it then for the first race of this 24-hour event. The first of 22, of course, so we've still got an awful long way to go. But yeah, very well done to Sam Corby for winning this race. I still feel so terrible for Silly Sly Guy, because he was dominating this race early on. But ultimately, yeah, just that disconnection hurting him to an extent that he could never quite recover from. So that's better disappointment for him, and a lot of unlucky races to the field. There were a few incidents, but generally the driving standards were pretty good throughout the race. I think most of the crashes we saw were down to just racing incidents, really, early in the race. But yeah, ultimately, that was a good watch, and I'm hoping that we're going to have some even better ones throughout the rest of the day, night and day again throughout this event. But yeah, I suppose we're going to have to, we'll keep this lobby running, we'll keep us two going as a commentating duo as well. Portugal is going to be the next on the agenda, so we'll look to try and get sorted for that, and in a bit we should be able to get that one started as well.
Yeah, hopefully we can. I'll quickly just switch it back over to the stream whilst we before we do that. But yeah, really quickly, I said Sam Corby. They all did do their 2 stops, luckily. So everyone did manage to get 2 stops done in the end. They don't get disqualified. So Sam Corby taking a win. George Nader in second. Commentalist in third. Campbell in fourth. Rise in fifth. Ash Best in sixth. Killer Blue in seventh. Big Panther in eighth. Vapor Russell in ninth. Foxy Red rounding out the top 10. Lars in 11th. Joel in 12th. Silly Slug Guy 13th. Rage in 14th. Neon 15th. Waffles in 16th, Zach in 17th, Hooky 18th, Speed Quinn in 19th, and then our only DNFer, unfortunately for the event, or for this first race, was QER Maledictus. So very unfortunate with that, and yeah, hopefully they'll be able to, well, hopefully the Olimpo guys will be able to try and maybe make a bit more of a jump on that as well. So yeah, very unfortunate for those guys. But yeah, first race all done and dusted. I'll quickly, as I said, switch that over to this screen as I'll read out a few of the donations, because during that race, it was a lot. I mean, a lot of donations that got put in with that. So really quickly, let me, I'm just getting the quick standings done for the first race, and then I'll read out a couple of the donations throughout all of these. So do just give me 2 seconds. But yeah, I mean, what do you make of that first race, Dan? I said around Saudi Arabia, we haven't seen really too many of them like throughout any of the leagues or anything like that. Just because I know it is a new track and only sort of came out within the last month, but that was some very good racing.
Yeah, a lot of very good racing, a lot of very tactical racing at Saudi Arabia, and to be honest, I think you'll probably see similar things at Portimao with the strength of the DRS at that track as well. So yeah, it'll be interesting to look forward to that. Let's start getting things set up though for the second race of the event. Again, it's just the level of excitement is just it's just incredible. I love being a part of this every time, and I'm so glad to actually be kicking things off in this event. So yeah, we'll get to round two. I've sent a message to everyone in the event. Just hopefully, hopefully as many of the teams as possible, if they're making a change, can they invite their teammates to the lobby just to make things a little bit easier
Yeah.
for us here. If you can't do that, it's whatever. But if you can get to that. So we'll just try and get things sorted as quick as we can for round two. And one very interesting race is out the way, and we look forward to yet more excitement at Portimao, which I know is a track that a lot of drivers love, so it should be a great show.
Yeah, no, exactly. As I said, we're just getting a few more guys into this as well. So, um, yeah, I'm quite intrigued on how this is all going to go down. So, yeah, I'll quickly read out, as I said, a few of the donations now for you guys really quickly. So already for the Young Minds charity, we've raised £282, literally just within the first race. Absolutely insane. We've got someone donating €5 saying great work guys, thank you very much. FR Ginger, hashtag humble squad, let the humble donations begin. Very lovely to see. Calvin Bainbridge saying always a supporter of these for these charities. Great to see events like 24 Hours of F1 Esports still supporting as well. Thank you very much for that. Elite Racing Team, as I said, £125, literally just putting Elite Racing Team. And then Jess with £100 for Young Minds. Put what a pole app. Absolutely insane amount to donate as well. In fact, it also went up to £302 because Neverlast Racing putting up, also sending £20 saying thanks once again guys, so it's much appreciated for all of that. And then for the guys over at Special Effect, Jess also donating £10 to that, saying donating to a great cause, good luck to all involved. I am looking forward to commentating once again. Elite Racing Team also £125 to those guys, so spent £250 already just doing donations, which is absolutely mind-blowing. Neverlast Racing saying thanks for a great event, a lot of commitment and overall for a great cause, thanks guys. €5 from someone who's anonymous as well, and yeah, as I said, £180 for Special Effect and £302 for Young Minds. Already is £482 within the first race. It's absolutely insane.
And let's keep the ball rolling. That is absolutely fantastic, though. Loving the support from everyone early on in the event. Let's keep that momentum going then. Let's smash through our goals towards our second race. Again, personally, I'm just trying. Apparently, drivers are having issues with invites from their teammates so far, so it's a little bit annoying. It must be said, but we'll try and get this sorted out as soon as we can. We have a bit of time to get that going anyway. So yeah, I guess what we're just gonna have to do is fill the time, and then eventually we'll get into our second of, as I said, 22 races, so it is going to be a lengthy event. It's an endurance event at the end of the day, so we'll try and get into that as soon as we can for round two. But I guess what we could do is just talk about, of course we were kind of rushed into the first race, have a little bit of a talk about the track itself and all the teams and how they all stack up. You of course have a good knowledge of all the drivers that are competing in this. Who do you expect to do well here?
I think there's only one name for me that really sort of stands out, and it's there's a couple of names, shall I say, but there's a certain relentless driver of Nathan who I've seen everyone loves to call him the absolute sweat of Portimao, and I can agree with that because he definitely is. He loves this track, and interestingly to note as well, if anybody's new to these events, or well, for this year we're doing it so there's double points within the event. This is the track that Relentless have chosen for them to do the double points. Not only that, the Buckarels as well. So Shizuku is going to be doing the double points for Portimao, and so is Ariel Nathan for Relentless. So they're already using their double points as well. They're all done, and the team that's going to be starting last for this race is Bottle Job Racing, which personally it's. If anybody remembers good old Blizzard or Matthew Alder, he's the one that's starting last for these guys in Portimao. So this is where things are going to get very, very interesting. I think this is going to be... I feel like this is going to be a race of attrition at this point. Because remember, it's 2 stops to do. So they're going to be it's not their usual strategy. Usually it is just it's a soft medium like it is on Jeddah, but yeah, I think things are going to be very interesting. Who's going to be basically playing it right? I think is the way that I can only put it. They need to play it right.
Yes, certainly. It's going to be very fascinating, but that's, of course, a dilemma that all the teams have went through in the build-up to this event. But it's going to be interesting, of course, because we didn't have any of that for the first race, so we're going to actually see this dynamic unfold with drivers starting from the back, trying to get themselves out of possession, but make that run through the field. Of course, drivers that are putting a lot on the line for this race. You need to have a lot of faith in your driver's ability around this track if you want to be putting double points in their head. So that battle between Nathan and Kun is going to be a really interesting one to watch and see how it all unfolds and evolves, because I mean there's a big points haul on offer if you get that pick right, and if your double points driver brings home a very strong result.
Yeah, no, exactly. So I think there's definitely going to be something that's going to be played into their hands with this double points. I reckon. I feel like we're set up for one for success and one for failure. I feel like that's how it's going to go for a lot of these drivers when they do their double points races for these events.
Yeah, there is one race in particular that I'm very much looking forward to in terms of the double points race, and well, I think it's pretty obvious if you know the lobbies which one that is, but that is very far in the future in the context of this event, so we're going to have to try and wait for that. Currently in the states of this lobby, I'm just trying to work my way through it. We're at 16 at the moment. I'm having some slight issues with the driver, the Dutch Missile, who I think maybe if he can't get in the lobby, I think it's something to do with his personal PSN settings, because I've invited him 3 separate times now. But I think I sent him a friend request. If he hasn't got that back, then if it's something to do with his settings, then he might not be able to get himself back in here. So we'll just try and get things sorted out as soon as we can in terms of that regard. We are missing 4 drivers at the moment. Again, 5 minutes. Hopefully we can just get everyone in, get everyone sorted, and straight into Portugal, which again is a track that drivers love. And I think it's a track that's not quite as technical as Jeddah, and I think we're going to see a much closer, a much harder fought affair here. I think the drivers are going to be a lot more even at this track, and it should make for some fantastic racing.
Yeah, I think it's going to make some definitely for some interesting stuff. So, yeah, I mean, Portimao is that track that is it's quite a wide track, so it does provide a very a lot of good racing. Obviously, DRS straights. To my knowledge, there are only sort of 2, one into turn 1, and or on the start finish straight, sorry, and one just after the uphill of turn 4, I think it is. Yeah, turn 4. So. Yeah, as I said, they've just got to try and capitalise on when they can get those moves done as much as possible, and whether they will be able to or not, well, I suppose it's a different story that we'll be seeing very soon, Dan.
Yeah, without a doubt, and that's going to be something to behold into Portimao. Of course, again, we're still looking at that strategy option changing thing. I mean, because the majority of tracks in this game are one stops, so I mean, pretty much every track you're going to see big changes in how the races are run, and it's something very new to all these drivers, which again means we could get some very surprising results out there, which is going to be great. And I honestly, I think that these double points are a great addition, because I think that we can both agree it adds a lot of tension to the race.
Yeah, no, without a doubt. So, we should be starting in approximately 3 minutes' time. Whilst we are just waiting for that to happen, we are just going to be quickly. I'm just going to play that message again for special effect. So, yeah, give us just a couple minutes, and we hopefully should be getting straight back into it once this video has finished. So, yeah, we'll be back in a very short minute.
Nobody likes being left out. That's why Special Effect are helping people with physical disabilities to play video games. But this isn't just about having fun. The gaming setups we create are personalised, so people can play to the very best of their abilities. And that opens the door to inclusion and independence, confidence and creativity. Help us level the playing field and create more magical gaming moments. Because it's everyone's turn to play.
There we go. We're now back underway. Race number 2 for Portimao. We're just loading into the one-shot qualifying now. And yeah, as I said, first race win, of course, going over to the guys over at the Absolute Units. And yeah, I mean, I wonder if we'll see something similar to this for this one. I think Sam Corby's still racing for the Absolute Units for this race, if I'm not mistaken, Dan.
Let me double check that actually, if we have a look. Yes, he is, so that's going to be something to really look forward to, see if he can try and repeat fortunes. But now into the one-shot session around Portimao. Let's see how they all tackle this track. Much more open, much more familiar to the drivers, so let's see how they get on. Yeah,
and remember, the bottle job racing, they need to invalidate stats straight away, so Matthew Alden needs to invalidate ASAP, and he has done, so that's good. So that's sweet, he's going to be starting at the very back of the grid. The Dutch Missile is the one that's currently on pole position at the moment. Sam Corby and Nathan just sort of around the IFR driver. Killer Blue also just sort of following suit with those guys. So yeah, I said for second race of the event, it's, hopefully we'll see a bit of more of a change going on from that first race. Obviously it's going to be a bit boring if just one driver keeps on winning it every single time, isn't it?
Well, we had that last time out, if you remember, with the Louis Welsh. So hopefully we don't have something like that again. But I think we will see this being very competitive all the way through. So let's keep an eye on how things are going to unfold. Keeping an eye out on this one-shot session, and well, it has Ariel Nathan up at the top, of course, that double points pick for Team Relentless, but Sam Corby and several other drivers right there, so it's going to be a real competitive end to the lap. So let's see who's going to come out on top here as they power out of turn 14. It's just a run to the line now. Of course, the wings can affect this. I think we're going to see a much closer grid here at Portimao. Ariel Nathan from the front coming into the line. He is just going to get that pole position fairly comfortably in the end, but it's incredibly tight behind. So many drivers on that mid-16. Inilara Reigns has popped himself up onto the front row as well, as we do end off the session there. So that is it for one shot. And well, Relentless, of course, they put a lot of faith in Nathan to do that session, and it has worked beautifully for him. On pole by a quarter of a second, that is exactly what he was looking for. That's exactly what he'll look to try and build off now into the Grand Prix.
I think Jordan summarised it up best. Ariel Portimao does it again. He ends up on pole position with 16.099 Reigns for Never Last Racing. Well, they're definitely not last. They're actually on the front row of the grid. Reigns in second, with Jaren for the Humble Squad in third, George Nader in fourth, Henry in fifth, Verstappen in sixth, Dutch Missile in seventh, Sam Corby in eighth, Russell ninth, Falk in 10th, Killer Blue in 11th, Hype in 12th, Charlie Harris in 13th, Tomaso in 14th, Mason JR in 15th, Neon 16th, Waffle 17th, Speed Quinn in 18th, Shizukun and Speed Quinn didn't manage to get a time on the board, and obviously Matthew Alder, as I said, is going to be the one starting at the back of the grid. So yeah, things are going to get very, very interesting towards the end of, or I suppose at the beginning and the end of this race, because as I said, Matthew Alder, he's definitely not a slouch at all. So him starting at the back of the grid, I think we're going to be seeing a lot of moves going on.
And we should see a lot of moves from another guy at the back of the grid, and a crucial one is Shizuo Kun. Remember, he is, of course, Barrichello's double points pick, and qualifying has not gone well, so the race is now crucial. He needs to work his way up. He can validate that qualifying lap, needs to try and get himself right back up there now, because he cannot afford to be slacking. He cannot afford to be down there when, you know, you've got Ariel Nathan on pole position for the race. Relentless have got that gamble right, and Shizuka needs to try and prove in this race that they made the right call. He needs to be working his way through that order, trying to get to the front. It should be a fascinating one, though. A lot of great drivers, a very, very close grid, so it's all the ingredients we need for a fantastic spectacle here as we get into the second race of the event now. Portimao is next up.
Certainly is. So Ariel Nathan going to be the one lining up on pole position. Of course, we've got a formation lap underway first. But yeah, Nathan, the one that's lining up at the front of the grid. Let's have a look and see what tyres everybody else outside the top 10 has decided to opt to go on. So only Charlie Harris, Tiramisu, Waffles and Blizzard, or Matthew Wilder, are all starting on a set of mediums outside the top 10. The rest are starting on a set of softs, so they're going to maybe go to soft medium soft or soft soft medium. Guys that are on a set of mediums are going to go for a medium soft to soft. I'd be surprised if anyone goes for 2 sets of mediums because I don't think it really is necessary, but seen it done before. You never know, I suppose.
Yeah, you never know how things are going to unfold out here. As yet, all 20 drivers, Matthew Alder and Shizuku from the back, they're going to be two drivers on, I guess you'd call the special races for their team. I don't know exactly what you would call it, but they're going to be drivers looking to try and work their way through the order. The whole grid all the way up, though, I mean, I think the top 10 from second down to 10th was just remarkably close. So I think you're going to see a remarkably close race. And DRS also very powerful here on that main straight. So while Nathan may be at the front and while he may have electrifying pace around this circuit, if he doesn't get away in the first 2 laps, breaking away is going to be very, very difficult. And tactically, though, he's backing up that pack a lot and what is a very, very pedestrian formation lap. The RAL driver bringing them round, but going at a snail's pace out there.
Yeah, I think he just wants to try and make sure he gets his tyres heated up, make sure that no one's sort of dropping back as much as possible, which is fair. You know, it's completely understandable. Yeah, at the moment, it's things are going to be heating up, I reckon, when it does come towards the end of the line. And at the moment, obviously, Ariel Nathan, I know he usually does get a good start as well. Just depends if Reigns next to him is also going to try and get a better bit of a jump as well. So, yeah, I'm quite intrigued how this is going to be going, if I'm honest with you.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Should be absolutely fantastic. Now, though, they are coming down to the grid. So it is McLaren and Aston Martin side by side up at the front. It's a reasonably average run, I'd say, into turn 1. So it's all still that start is going to be mega, mega important as now the back of the grid settles. I'll hand it back over to you, Jack, for the second race of the 24-hour event. Nathan on pole position, well leading to turn 1, 33 laps of Portimao ahead of us. Jack, take it away and let's get race 2 underway.
So we are here for race number 2. We should be seeing these 5 red lights showing up. Yes, you can. So for race number 2 of 22, the 5 red lights are out and away they go, and it looks like Nathan does get a very solid start in comparison to everyone around him. Yaron right behind, trying to go for the move outside into turn 1. Is he going to have the outside and get that moved on Reigns? No, Reigns does manage to cover off that inside. George Nader manages to hold off that P4 as there's been a bit of a spinner at the back. That is, I believe, the Dutch missile for IFR. And a little bit further down, ELT Henry getting a very bad exit out of turn 3, allowing the QVR Verstappen to try and go alongside him coming up the hill, but I think just has to back out of that one. Does the Haas driver at the moment? No, Nathan, very good start from him, exactly what he needed. Shizuku getting a 5-second penalty for corner cutting and gaining a place, so I don't know what had happened there, and I hope maybe try and get that removed if he can. But yeah, loads of things going on down towards the back end of the field. Matthew Alder, by the way, already up into 11th position from the back of the grid.
Oh, it's TG Waffles round in the Haas there, spinning around to the back of the field. So another racing incident then. You can see the Dutch missile getting some oversteer through there. So there has been a very chaotic start down the back of the field at the moment then. Ariel Nathan, though, I said it'd be struggling. He'd have to get away early, and that's exactly what he's trying to do. He's getting that gap out. Reigns in behind, just out of DRS. He's not used any battery. He's going to have to if he wants to try and keep up with the racing in McLaren. But he leads at the end of the first lap. The rest of the ball very bunched up then. ART Henry's under heavy pressure from QVR Verstappen, who pulls alongside on the main straight then. Bit of a weave there in front of George Nader, but Verstappen is going to clear him and up into 5th place. So he goes forward from ART Henry. So he drops back into P6 at the moment as the field all filters through early on in the race. But Nathan has done exactly what he needed to do. A stonking first lap, it must be said. He's got that gap out. Reigns now has to work to try and stay with him, but there's a big effort here from Ariel Nathan. He leads by just about a second. If he can clear 1 second, he's put himself in a very, very strong position to consolidate that to the rest of the race.
Well, I think he's already put himself in a very strong position already. As you said, 1.1 seconds up in front of Reigns, and Reigns, I don't know how, he just can't seem to keep up. Well, I say don't know how. As I said, Jordan putting it perfectly. It's REL Portimao. He loves racing around this track. 1.3 seconds now up ahead of Reigns for the lead of the race, and I think Nathan's just going to try and run away with it as much as he possibly can. Yaron just keeping up with the back of Reigns for the Humble squad, sorry. So he's doing quite well in that third position. George Nader in fourth at the moment. Verstappen, though, maybe trying to go around the outside. Although saying that, I think George Nader having a little bit of internet issues. I thought he was just about to get overtaken by Verstappen coming around the outside of almost in the final corner. But yeah, Ariel Nathan just already running away 1.5 seconds now up ahead of Reigns as Jeroen and George Nader and Verstappen all still keeping up. It's a sort of level playing field at the moment with all of those guys. A bit further on behind though, Kuhn has already lost out 1 second from this train. They're saying that he's managed to gain that one back. So Charlie Harris and Hype down in 12th and 13th position are both going side by side, but Charlie Harris in those medium tyres manages to maintain that P12 position. Blizzard, or Matthew Older by the way, already up into 10th position from the back of the grid, and he started in last about 2 laps ago, and he's already up into 10th as SXT Hype diving it down the inside of Charlie Harris in towards turn number 5 and gets that move done. Very nicely done for the Ecos driver in that Ferrari. The team has been driving though, maybe going to try and look for a move once again very soon, but no, just has to maintain that position for now. Try not to get too hot-headed with it because I said it's on the set of the mediums. We've got a little bit longer than the rest of the guys on the set of the softs, and usually the softs, they don't last as well. They do last quite a bit, but the actual degradation dies down quite a bit as Hype already with a 3-second time penalty.
Yeah, penalties racking up early. Of course, we saw the 5 seconds for Shizuka, and has actually worked his way phenomenally for the first few laps. But of course, he does have that penalty to his name to compromise that. So now we're up to the end of the third lap. The DRS is going to start to becoming a big factor here as ERT Henry under pressure from Vapor Russell, who pulls to the inside, and he's going to try and hold that line out of turn 1. But Russell going round the outside. He's got the line out of turn 1. He pinches him in tight there, and the Red Bull has to get out of it then, just as well he did, because my, there was not much room there. Russell though does make the move. Vapor Russell, the P6, Henry down to P7, so he's slipping back from that qualifying spot. Sam Corby now, who didn't have a great qualifying, trying to recover. He's up behind the Red Bull fence to the inside, will not go for the move though. So Shizuka trying to live with this. Matthew Alder trying to shadow these guys, showing great pace early on those mediums. So of course he's gone for that alternate strategy, and it is working a treat so far. P10 on mediums, and very, you have to say, very much not far from even P2 on the road. More soft tyres later in the race, and the Alpine driver has put himself in a great position from the rear of the field.
Yeah, no, they certainly have. So, yeah, I mean, Matthew Alder and Shizuku, as I said, back at the field, both disqualifying. Obviously, Matthew Alder had to start the back of the grid because it's mandatory for him for this race, which means bottle job racing don't need to anymore for the rest of the event. But yeah, from the back of the grid in 10th and 9th position for the both of them. Absolutely insane start for the pair of them. Dutch Missile, by the way, made a early stop, so he's already into the pits and out of the pits already. Even further up the field, Hype and Charlie Harris, a battle between those two, definitely not slowing down anytime soon. Hype might be eyeing up a move on the Aston Martin coming up in towards turn 1. Charlie Harris hasn't got any DRS to play with. His DRT Henry up in front gets a 3-second time penalty for multiple corner cuts and just has to back off of that one. Oh, Hype, I've broken a little bit later. Just touching the back right wheel of Charlie Harris, so has to back out of that one. Does the Ecos driver, a little bit of oversteer coming up the hill as well. I don't think he's going to be able to get a move done on the Aston Martin, so just has to back out of that one for now. I thought it was going to look to go down the inside, but no, it definitely doesn't in the end. IRL Neon and Killer Blue for 14th and 15th going side by side now. As Killer Blue going to have the inside for turn number 6. Using as much ERS as possible though. He's been dusted around the outside from IRL Neon, and Neon back up into 14th position. Killer Blue for XL not going his way in this race so far.
Certainly not bogged down. That was a great move from Neon. He pinched Killer Blue onto the curb, and Killer Blue at that point had no choice but to get out of the move, otherwise there was going to be big contact. He's fighting back though, and he's going to dive it down the inside of that turn 12. Is he going to try and get that one done? Yes, he did. So these guys going back and forth through the rest of the lap, and up goes the AlphaTauri driving for XL. Now Ariel Jeroen has got up behind Raids there, NLR Raids, and he's going to slip through on the straight through into second place, and up goes Ariel Jeroen. So back goes NLR Raids, and some pit stops further down then. Verstappen, Vapor Russell, Killer Blue, they've all dived to the pit lane. So these guys are going to try and grab a bit of an early undercut then, which is what you're going to see all the way through the night. So away those two guys go, nose to tail out of the pit lane. They will try and emerge and grab the undercut. They were in the midpoint of the train. Sam Corby inside of VRT Henry gives a bit of space, but not much on the exit, and now the Red Bull trying to fight back. They're almost level, but look at the overspeed, and the Ferrari slips through the P5, so he moves up to 5th. ERT Henry down to 6th, so they are swapping places out there on the track. But of course, one of the interesting ones is going to be Verstappen and Russell. They emerge in clean air. They've got that room to push. The question is, though, where are they going to emerge in the context of that big train? They've opened up a gap in that train, certainly. But are the rest of the guys here going to react, going to cover, and will they be able to protect from the undercut of these two drivers that went in very early on the 5th lap?
Certainly, Kushizuku picking himself up a 3-second time penalty. So despite having a 5-second, he's now also got himself a 3-second time penalty. Further down the field, just watching on board with Speed Quinn and TTG Waffles both going at it through turn 7 and turn 8. Very good battling between the pair of them, but Speed Quinn coming out on top with those soft compounded tyre. A lot more people coming into the pits now. Yeren, Reigns, Nader, Henry and Kuhn all coming in now. So it just leaves out on track Ariel Nathan, Sam Corby, Matthew Alder and WOR Falk. And Falk all over the back of Matthew Alder, coming up towards the first DRS, or the second DRS straight, shall I say. A few other guys still not made their pit stops yet. SXT Hype, Charlie Harris, Jax Tiramisu, if I said that right. Mason JL54 and as I said, Speed Quint and Waffles also not making their pit stops as of yet. But a lot of battles already going on within the first 7 laps, and I think there's just going to be a lot more to come now that a lot more people have made their pit stops. Interestingly enough, Yeren coming up ahead of Reigns from that last lap. So Reigns doesn't manage to get an overcut done on Yeren, and Yeren now up into what is a net P2 and trying to chase down Nathan for that undercut.
In terms of the undercut then, Verstappen and Vapor Russell didn't really gain, didn't really lose. They've stayed in exactly the same places as they were before, and now Verstappen sitting up behind the, to be honest, slightly laggy George Nader, so we'll see if that is going to hold up then. We have a spinner down the back of the field. That's the Dutch missile, who has managed to recover it, but that was a spin that cost him time. He didn't really need to lose, and now the Mercedes down to the back of the field, unfortunately. Nathan goes in from the lead then, and Sam Corby stays out, so he's going quite a bit longer than the rest of the guys in this trade. It's a very interesting call, interesting strategy, but the net race leader Ariel Nathan comes in. Of course, these guys behind will have a bit of an undercut, and he'll be hoping, of course, that they don't get within that DRS range. He could be quite close, though, to the likes of, I think he'd be very close, actually, to TG Waffles on the pit exit. So let's see. He emerges out from the pit lane. It is going to be pretty close between them, almost side by side. Nathan will stay in front, and Waffles will be best served not to go too aggressive, but he is going to go aggressive, diving down the inside. He's not going to get much space, but they make a bit of wheel-to-wheel contact. Nathan will hold it round the outside. Waffles went for that, even with the tyre disadvantage. He didn't get the move done. It will compromise Nathan a bit, but Waffles, he did go for that move, loses out in the end. But yeah, I guess a bit of opportunism there from the Haas, trying to slip through off the cold tyre shot Ariel Nathan, but he maintains the place and still has a net race lead.
Yeah, he certainly does. What's that, 2.2 seconds now up ahead, I think? So Nathan just keeping in that lead of the race there. Very nicely done from him. WR Falk still just keeping on back of Matthew Alder for that P2 position, but just still can't seem to get anything done on him at the moment. I think these softs are starting to drop off for a lot of these guys now. Let's have a look on board with Sam Corby. Is he coming into the pits? No. Is Falk going to follow into the pits though? Yes, he does. So Falk into the pits for Nordic E-Racing and gets a 5-second penalty for speeding into the pits, unfortunately. So Falk into the pits. Charlie Harris is going to stay out. Hype into the pits. Are we going to see Mason make his way into the pits? No, the esports Welsh driver stays out on track at the moment, trying to follow Tiramisu in 4th position. Can't seem to get anything done at the moment though. But yeah, as I said, Matthew Valder absolutely flying from the back of the grid. He isn't a second. Obviously, he hasn't made a pit stop yet, but 3.2 seconds off at the back of Sam Corby, who was battling for what, P7, I think it was originally. From the back of the grid is still insane.
Yeah, he's making brilliant progress, and of course he will have some soft tyres later on in the race. Ariel Ewan now lining up that Haas of TDG Waffles, goes to the inside, will get the move done fairly comprehensively, and that of course could be an opportunity for him to break away if he can get it, if Waffles can hold off Reigns for long enough. So Reigns has to get the move done quickly on the 8th place man at the moment. Waffles just holding on to that spot. He pulls over to the inside, then just continues to go in front, and so the Aston Martin is going to have to try and get through. Makes a late dive going down the inside. He will have to just back out of that though, has to keep that tight line as they sweep uphill in towards turn 12, and you can see him now looking inside, can't quite get the move done. He has to wait all the way through now, through 14 and now to 15. He looks to take that tight line, and Jeroen now is taking off. He's taking that opportunity to break away, and as it turns out, looks as though he has broken away. Reigns will get the move done there as Sam Corby, Mason as well diving to the pit lane on the 9th lap of the race. To the inside, Reigns will get through, and George Nader will look to try and follow through as well on the straight, but he's too far away. He couldn't follow through, so Reigns gets through. Jeroen took that opportunity, but at the moment Reigns has just about done enough to stay within DRS range.
Yeah, no, certainly is, and yeah, Waffles, I think this is just going to be under a lot of pressure from everybody else behind. George's Nader may try and go for something, but I was saying that, he may be slipping behind because Verstappen closing up to the back of George's Nader. George's Nader going deep on the inside, having a massive lock up as well. Thought he was maybe going to go for the move on Waffles, but just couldn't get any sort of move done at the moment. Verstappen, I feel like being held up a little bit from George's Nader. I think we've even seen it in the first stint as well. Just needs to try and get some sort of move done on the Alpine. I was saying that Waffles makes a little bit of a mistake. Verstappen, don't think he's going to be able to follow suit from the other Hassel. Saying that Waffles goes defensive on the inside. Waffles just going to maybe have to give that one up. And you can see Vapor Russell trying to follow suit with those other guys. Going to go around the outside of Waffles coming up the hill, and I think Waffles actually is just going to go defensive on it and keep that position. I was saying that Russell forced out a little bit and gets a 3-second time penalty because of it. Shizuku, by the way, down into 16th now. He's had that spin, believe, is that at turn 9? That might have been at turn 9.
It was further along in the lap, I think, but now he is all over the road. I think that was at turn 11, Suzuka, and now having to try and recover from that. It's whoa, a peg battle on the straight, and Russell's been swamped. Waffles now moving up, and now Sam Corby on fresh tyres, trying to make his way through in the Ferrari. The Williams looks to the inside. The dive comes from the Ferrari, though. Sam Corby gets up and alongside TDG Waffles as they sweep uphill through turn 4 and up towards 5. Waffles fighting very hard, tooth and nail for all these places then, and Sam Corby is not a happy man. Dives straight to the inside, makes contact, and now Russell looks to try and follow right through. Almost gets alongside the race winner from race 1, but he does stay in front of Sam Corby with a bit of a bad tempered move, I think. Waffle slips all the way back. A hard defence of his places then. He's got every right to defend, but I think that ultimately that sparked frustration in the fresh medium runners, and that sparked those aggressive moves that we saw and forcing the Haas man out of the way.
Yeah, that was definitely a very aggressive move from Sam. He got it done in the end, but very aggressive from him indeed. I wonder if the guys over in the TTG camp, or VOR camp, sorry, should I say, if they may try and put something in after that for Sam Corby, but I don't know, we'll keep our eye out on it. Tiramisu is in the pits now for the Olimpo guys, coming in for his first stop. I said it's 2 stops mandatory, so we may see guys go on a set of mediums until probably lap 21, I would say, what, 21, 22, and then coming for a fresh set of softs to go at the end of the race on this as well. But Vapor Russell still all over the back of Sam Corby. The thing that's playing into Russell's hands at the moment, he hasn't, Sam Corby up in front doesn't have any DRS, so he can go for a move if he wanted to, if he can try and keep up with him coming up the hill though, because ERT Henry, very nice exit coming up the hill. Corby just can't seem to get closer to Verstappen because Verstappen's still within the DRS of George's Nader. And speaking of that, George's Nader has dropped out of DRS from his reins up in front as well. So Verstappen, I think this might be his best opportunity of getting a move done if he can on George's Nader.
Yeah, the hold-up play from Waffles has stretched these guys out there to the VAR driver, having an effect on this fight. For net P2, Jeroen hasn't quite been able to escape. He's very close to escaping, then Reigns has been going back and forth with that DRS rage, and these guys are pushing with everything they have to try and get the edge on one another as they come up to the DRS lane. I think Reigns has just missed DRS on this lap, and George Nader look to try and get it. Then Matthew Alder has come in from the lead of the race. It's going to be soft tires, and he is going to be rapid out there on the track. So watch for him trying to come at this train, who have all been held up, and he is not going to be far behind at all. You can see him emerging. He's going to be very close, actually very comfortably ahead, I should say, in WR Falcon. So he emerges in P9 just a couple of seconds back for the train, and in these soft tyres now he can use those, the extra grip he's going to get to push his way up then. So Corby, Russell and Henry are all going to have to look over their shoulders because Matthew Alder is coming right up to these guys. So the bottle job driver now from the back of the field, now moving his way up towards these guys, and with these soft tyres, the extra grip, he will look to take advantage of that and get some moves done in this phase of the race.
Yeah, certainly will. Verstappen still just all over the back of Georges Nader, still not being able to get a move done on him at all. But yeah, Matthew Alder, now it's down to him to see what kind of moves he's going to do. Him and Tiramisu going on a fresh set of the soft compounded tyre, and Yeah, I really don't know how this is going to play out because Matthew Alder's going to be a lot quicker than the guys up in front. Only problem though, they're all within that DRS train led by Sam Corby. So I wonder if we're going to see Alder try and go for some, not forceful moves, but maybe try and squeeze his nose in there so that at least the guys guys in front of him know that he is there and he wants to try and go for a move on him. But yeah, so very interesting that this is going to be happening now. He's got the DRS only just within those guys up in front of him, so he's going to be able to try and at least gain up on them, and we may even see him just set the fastest lap of the race on the next lap as well. So Vapor Russell still all over the back of Sam Corby, almost going into the back of him, coming through turn 3. He has to back out slightly though, which is going to compromise his line, and it's going to allow ERT Henry once again to close up to the back of the Vapor driver. Russell just trying to, he needs to try and play this a bit more smarter because he can get the move done on Sam. He just keeps on braking a little bit too late, almost going into the back of the Ferrari driver.
Yeah, Sam slowly but surely as well slipping back from that urine-led train. We haven't mentioned him in a while, but Ariel Nathan fully in control of this race. He's built up that 3-second gap gradually over time. He's got fresher tyres than the guys behind him. He is just in cruise control, nursing the tyres, nursing the car all the way around, and just managing that gap, and seemingly just no one in this race has the sustained pace to go with him. So Ariel Nathan is very comfortable out there, and I think it's hard to see anyone really making too much of an impression. But further back then, a man that I think is about to make an impression is Matthew Alder. He's right on the back of ERT Henry, and I think now the moves are going to start to come through. He's got much more battery than pretty much everyone in this train. He draws up and alongside the Red Bull on this straight. They run parallel down there, but he is just going to edge his nose in front, and Henry surely is going to have to get out of that one then. So Matthew Alder through into 8th already with a nice simple move at a T1. Now it's Vapor Russell and Sam Corby ahead, and now he's got to try and focus his attention on that train for P2. Now of course he is going to be on similar tyres to these guys by the end of the race. They should all put on a similar set, maybe mediums, maybe softs. It's hard to tell at this stage, but he's pushing his way up towards these guys, looking for a way through, and I think that top train is going to be a bit worried. But Vapor Russell and Sam Corby, they will maybe not fight it too hard. It's in their best interest to maybe let Matthew go and let him drag them up towards that back train. So you might see Vapor Russell and Sam Corby not fight too hard, because those guys want to try and bring themselves up to that P2 train as well. As down the inside goes the Alpine, but the door is firmly shut, so take that back, me. But if he goes for the move, but Vapor Russell is not having it in that part of the track, shuts the door. Matthew Alder knows that it's going to be a lot harder to earn the respect of the hard fighting Williams driver in P7.
Yeah, I think, as I said, he wants to try and stick his nose in there, and that's exactly what he's done. He's trying to stick his nose in there, make sure that they know he is there, and you can see just the overspeed that he gets coming out of that final corner. He's now going to be already alongside Vapor Russell just before the DRS is even open. Russell's going to try and use his battery as much as he can as well, and you might start to see Matthew Alder just edging forward a bit more. Down the inside he goes on Vapor Russell and gets that move done. ERT Henry down behind picks up a 3-second time penalty for his troubles again. I think that's his second one, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so the ERT driver now was 6 seconds worth of penalties. Falk, though, behind by 3 seconds, has only got 5 seconds of penalties. So realistically, Henry's just going to still finish in that same position. Russell up in front, though, has got only 3 seconds of penalties to his name. So he's, I suppose, the leading penalty runner. I don't know if that would be the way to call it, but that's what he is at the moment. Matthew Alder, though, just making his way through the field. Once he gets past Sam Corby, because it's going to be inevitable that he gets past him. Once he gets past him, he's got about a 2.5 second buffer. He needs to try and catch up to the back of the other medium runners out in front.
Yeah, certainly. Sam, I think that Matthew here is just waiting for that DRS straight. Sam knows that realistically there's not going to be much of a fight there, so he is just continuing to drive his lines and waiting for the Alpine man to flash through into that P6. So they emerge off of turn 14 on to that main straight, and I don't think you're going to see much of a contest here then. Sam is not really burning that ERS, neither is Matthew. I think he knows it's fairly unnecessary, because now the DRS comes into play. Up in front there, Reigns as well, maybe move on Giroud for P2, but through goes Matthew up into P6, and now Sam will be trying to stay with that Alpine driver as he inevitably pushes his way up towards that P2 train. They've had their position swaps in, and they're not going particularly quickly. Nathan is pulling away hand over fist on similar tyres. Maybe that's just emphasising the relentless driver's dominance, but he is now well over 4 seconds in front. But I think that this second place train, they're starting to budge, and I don't think they're going particularly quickly, Jack.
Yeah, I think Matthew Alder's just going to breeze up to the back of these guys already. 1.7 seconds, just gained about 6 tenths within the last sector. So Matthew Alder now 1.4 seconds even. That gap is just coming down relentlessly, no pun intended, but that gap is coming down massively, and I think Matthew Alder is just going to be able to join the back of this train. Question is though, he's done it with one train, is he going to be able to get some moves done on this next train coming up?
Verstappen makes a small mistake there, nearly went into the back of George Nader. That was heading through that turn 13, so he got a bit late on the brakes, and that's allowed Matthew into that DRS range, but he won't be close enough to make the move on this occasion. Now nearly 5 seconds is Nathan's lead out there in front then, as we've got a yellow further down the track. That looks to be, I think that may have been Keller Blue or Shizuku. They've got those guys maybe going off then in that third sector, so they're beginning to struggle out there on the track at the moment. But yeah, those guys further down not having the best of races. The mistakes just starting to creep in. Kuhn with that double points isn't going particularly well at the moment. He was near the train, but that penalty that he served has dropped him further back, and he's lost another place on tracks now to Taira Miso there. Those guys are going back and forth actually on the track further down. Kuhn managing to get back in front into that 14th position on the road. But now Matthew Alder is all over the rear wing of QVR Verstappen. Now these guys are fighting for possession. I don't imagine he's going to get a huge amount of leeway with these guys. Also, Sam Corby has worked Matthew very nicely and is within this train now. Vapor Russell is almost with it with Henry, so those guys are trying to get towards it. The pace has picked up with Reigns, who is going very nicely in second place. Jeroen looks to be struggling, but now Matthew Alder up behind QVR Verstappen. Now using that battery, he's got more to his name. He's going to try and work his way through, but at this point the overtakes become a lot tougher. As I say that though, he closes his way up with the overspeed, and again, maybe making me eat my words, he's going to breeze past, and Verstappen knows it's not in his best interest to fight him down this right. Matthew, another place then. Could he get to the very front of this train?
There's definitely a high possibility. I mean, I feel like Verstappen's probably played this a bit smarter as well, because what he's going to do is he's just going to sit behind Matthew Alder. He's going to wait for Matthew to go for the move on George's Nader, because he's been stuck behind him the entire race. He's going to wait until he goes for that move, and then he's just going to try and breeze past, just try and follow him suit. So, yeah, George might have to be careful of not only one driver but of two. Sam Corby has also joined in on this train as well, completely left Vapor Russell, now 1.6 seconds behind, and you can see Matthew Alder really just wants to get this move done. He might see it coming up towards this double right coming up here. Here you go, he goes towards the inside, he's going for that move straight down the inside on George's Nader. George is just going to have to back out of that one, although it gets pushed a little bit wide. George, yes, I said he didn't manage to come under, or wasn't compromised from that, and Verstappen just managing to stay behind him in the end. So yeah, Matthew Alder now up into fourth. Goes a little bit deep coming out of the final corner though, but I suppose you get a much better run coming out of it, and that's exactly what he needs if he wants to try and get past Ariel Yaron as well in third position. So Matthew Alder already up into the podium positions. Verstappen comes into the pits for an undercut on a set of the soft tyres. So yeah, this is going to be very interesting, to be honest with you. Let's have a look and see, is Matthew Alder going to be able to get a move done on Yaron? And I mean, could he potentially be fighting for the win of this race?
Well, that's a tall order, because Nathan's pace has been... I don't want to say relentless. I really don't want to say it, but it has been very, very strong. Matthew, a big dive from far back. Jeroen gets him a little bit of space on the inside, but he will maintain the possession. So that was very opportunistic from Matthew Alder. We're now seeing those pit stops coming through. Verstappen onto fresh softs. That undercut is going to be very, very powerful on this occasion. So keep an eye out for him making some gains as George Nader picks up a critical time penalty. That's going to slip him back then as Matthew now going for the same move again on the inside of Ariel Yaron, who in the end just can't quite fight it. Through goes Matthew Alder, the P3, and I think now the rest of these guys are going to look to try and get into that pit lane to cover Verstappen. So now you're going to see, I think, an influx of pit stops on this lap. So let's see how it all plays out. Ariel Nathan from the front of the race stays out, but I suppose he has that leeway. He has that ability to just manipulate that strategy a bit more. They are actually, for the most part, staying out. George Nader dives to the pit lane. He's the only one. I thought we'd see more cars, and Vapor Russell has followed him in. So it's going to be interesting to see where Verstappen's going to emerge in this context, because he was right behind George Nader. Now he's trying to push his way up. that soft undercut, you imagine, is going to be very powerful. Will he be able to jump clear away from these guys? Let's see, as now George Nader and Vapor Russell get those two tyres on, and Verstappen powers down the pit straight, looking to try and get the jump.
So let's have a look. We're just keeping on board with Georges Nader. You can see Verstappen there just in the background following Tiramisu, and Georges Nader keeps that position from Verstappen. Verstappen's going to have the overspeed though. Going to go for the move in towards turn 2. Georges Nader moves over very late. Verstappen are going to go for a bit of a switchback on the Alpine driver, and I don't think the Alpine, I think they both might have a bit of DRS. Verstappen, 3-second time penalty, getting almost forced out from Georges Nader. Georges Nader's going to go defensive on the inside in towards turn 5. Verstappen, you can see he's driving this very aggressively. Georges Nader shuts the door on the Dutchman and keeps that position. Although saying that, Verstappen trying to go for the switchback on Georges Nader, but I think almost well, in fact, yes, smashes into the back of the Alpine and has to now back out of that one. I wonder if Verstappen got himself any damage from that, because these guys are racing ruthlessly. Georges Nader putting up a very hard defense on the QVR driver, but keeps that position in the end and is keeping that P12, and luckily for him, he'll get the DRS off of Tiramisu. As I said, I think Verstappen might have gotten damage going into the back of him from that.
Well, let's see how that is going to unfold. And he has dropped to 8/10s back then, as George Nader has got a nice little slingshot here, a nice little catapult to bring himself further up then, as now we have that influx of cars into the pit lane. As I mentioned, Nathan is out and nice clean air just in front of SXT Hype then. Reigns will emerge then as Jeroen has stayed out. Reigns comes out just in front of George Nader, so that other undercut has worked, and now he's looking as Verstappen now is beginning to get isolated behind these guys. So George Nader has made a big impression on this last lap. Verstappen's not going too badly, but maybe he has got some slight damage. Now, to the outside, goes George Nader, breaks very, very late on Reigns, trying to go all the way around the outside. The Aston Martin's not going to give him much space at all then. Off the road is the Alpine, now looking to try and fight it back. Up the climb, up towards turn 7, he does back out of it in the end. As round as the Haas driver of TDG Waffles, so Waffles, who we saw from that stern defence earlier, as Verstappen moves past Tiramisu. But yeah, you can see there Waffles, who again was in that fight amongst the podium trade, having stayed out longer in the first stint, now drops to the back. He has just done one of his stops, so he's already way down there, so his race has gone very disastrously. Has another influx of stops, Matthew Alder, Jeroen, Henry, so let's see where these guys emerge. They should all be going for softs, and at that point it's a pretty straight fight to the end, so we'll see the strategy, we'll see where these guys all emerge on track, and now they're all going to start, I imagine, scrapping away. They're going to try and get that edge on each other. So watch Reigns, is he going to get out in front of Matthew Alder, I wonder then. Watch the pit lane side, you can see Matthew has got a big jump on these guys actually. As Jeroen fighting away with George Nader, who gets it into his contact all over the curve at turn 2 they go. Somehow they save it. Verstappen is into the back of Georgie again, who runs wide. Verstappen now trying to get through. He is backed up then, and Vapor Russell now attacking QVR. Verstappen runs into the back of him as well, and now diving outside him. Verstappen is not going to let that go. He maintains with the switchback trying to come through, and Verstappen will hold off Russell on this occasion with a scrappy encounter. But Matthew Alder has jumped these guys. He's got himself into that net P2 with a phenomenal drive. It's been absolutely stunning. Charlie Harris and 860 Hype are fighting away in front, and Matthew just holding back, waiting for that opportunity to present itself. And his contact! He runs into the back of the Ferrari, who's into the wall. The Ferrari checked up on the exit, and Matthew was not expecting it. They come together in what I can only say is a racing incident, but Hype desperately unlucky there, just for no fault of his own really, going around front wing damage. I don't think that's really Matthew's fault, he just had to back up there behind Charlie.
Yeah, so Matthew now all over the back of Charlie Harris and see if he's going to be able to get a move done. I think it's going to be a straight, a standard move from Matthew Alder. Straight down the inside. I was saying that Charlie Harris is going defensive on the inside from the soft driver. In fact, keeps that inside. Matthew Alder just getting forced out wide from Charlie Harris. He's still trying to maintain that outside position. Charlie Harris just going very, very defensive on the Alpine. Has to completely parks it on the apex. A little bit of contact between the pair of them. Matthew Alder's just going to go down the inside of Charlie Harris, and I don't think Charlie Harris is going to be able to hold this one around the outside, if I'm completely honest with you. As, oh my goodness, Jeroen going down the inside, and in fact trying to get two moves done in one. They're three wide coming up towards turn 7. Charlie Harris under an immense amount of pressure, and the other Aston Martin now trying to go around the outside. LMR Reigns getting another 3-second time penalty as Charlie Harris. A massive defense, again hard defending from the team has been driver, but Reigns gets that move done in the end. Jeroen I think that all sort of started from Jeroen diving that straight down the inside of or trying to get the move done on Reigns. Reigns was trying to go for the move on Charlie Harris, and then all of that just sort of just Constantina affected. Sam Corby now trying to go around the outside of Charlie Harris, coming through, as I said, what I like to normally call the final corner, because it's just completely flat out from there. But yeah, Sam Corby can't get that move done. Charlie Harris not even any DRS. He's going to have to get just, well, in fact, he's coming into the pits just to get out of the way. So Charlie Harris now into the pits for his final stop. Anybody else that still needs to make one more stop? I think everyone might have made their entire 2 pit stops. Yeah. So Charlie Harris is the final one, and yeah, everyone has now made their 2 pit stops. Now it is a full-on race to the end. Verstappen still cannot find a way past Georges Nader at the moment, and just keep he has to keep on trying to get some sort of move done on Georges Nader. As I said, these two have been battling it out all race long, and Verstappen, I think, is just getting very frustrated on being behind him at this moment.
I will have a little thing to say to the drivers. I think we can all watch the driving standards a little bit more. There's some very, very aggressive driving out there on the track from pretty much everyone, it must be said. So yeah, a lot of back and forth stuff there, and a bit too much wheel banging in my opinion. But of course, these guys still putting on a great show out there as we approach the final stages of this Portuguese Grand Prix. Still a lot more to behold then in these final stages. Ariel Nathan is pretty much sewn up the race in dominant fashion. He is leading by over 8 seconds now. It's been a remarkable drive from Ariel Nathan, and if it holds, it's a perfect use of those double points from the Relentless team, and they've had a great start to this event with the podium in race 1. Sam Corby has managed to recover very nicely in this race as well, up to 5th and net 4th with Reigns' penalty, but of course Reigns' second penalty was achieved in slightly unusual circumstances, it must be said, but still he is up into 5th, and again a great start to the event for the Absolute Units. So those guys, those two teams really have been the impressors early on, and they've been on that podium very consistently. And I think when you look at the standings, I think it's hard to look past Relentless topping it, but all in all, it's been a great start from those two teams. But I think Relentless have the upper hand in this event, where we're going to look at the standings after this.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, they used their double points as well for this race.
Yeah.
And Nathan, 8 seconds out in front. I don't think anybody's going to be able to catch him. Even with Matthew Older, I don't think he's... yeah, I think it's going to be a bit interesting. I don't think he's going to be able to catch up as much. So, yeah, I think Nathan's basically, unless he makes a mistake, takes his win already, which is 50 points. He's gotten 50 points, so he's maximised that double points. As I said, as long as he finishes it out and doesn't make any sort of mistake, then, yeah, Nathan has pretty much won this race. Matthew Older, from the back of the grid, would end up finishing in 2nd position, which is absolutely insane to think about. Jeroen will end up finishing in 3rd for the Humble Squad at this moment. As I said, anything can still change, especially with all of these guys being within DRS trains. So, yeah, it's for... Well, I really don't know how the rest is going to play out, because they're all still within this DRS train. Obviously, Matthew Older's been an absolute class of his own, same with Nathan. It's just the rest of the guys where they're all going to end up finishing, because as I said, I feel like they could be finishing anywhere.
In any different order, that is very, very true. So let's see how it is going to unfold then. Matthew Alder is setting quite a pace for the rest of these guys to try and follow, but they are sticking with it. Henry has dropped a little bit off the back of this. With 9 seconds of penalties, he could be under threat actually from WR Falk, who is just about within that range inside the top 10. There's still some battles going on. Shizuku and Killer Blue, those guys have been going back and forth pretty much all day. They sit 11th and 12th on the road at the moment. Charlie Harris, Tura Misto are very close. The Dutch Missile and SXT Hype are very close, as Pete Quinn and TDG Waffles, and the two guys at the back, Mason GR and Neon. So it's all very close as Matthew Alder picks up a time penalty, and this changes things dramatically in the context of this 2nd place scrap, as there's 2 cars off the road then. There is Hype and the Dutch Missile. They've come together heading out of turn 6, and they then will have to try and recover onto the road then behind Speed Quinn and Waffles, who picks up a penalty. But yeah, that penalty though from Matthew Alder has a big say as Russell's gone off, so it's out now. It's all going crazy out there on track. We're now seeing things get thrown up in the air. Vapor Russell off the road now, down into 9th, And was there contact? Did he just go off on his own? I don't know. He's going to have to try and recover that car, though, with a big dent to his hopes in the race. So a lot of drivers just going off it, his hype off the road. So, Jack, it's hard to keep up with everything, because at the moment, cars are spearing off the track left, right, and centre at the moment.
Yeah, I genuinely don't know what is going on with all of this, but what I do know is Killer Blue almost going into the back of Kuhn in towards turn 5. It looked like his wind disappeared and just reappeared ever so slightly, so I'm not too sure what happened with that one. But yeah, Killer Blue all over the back of the Shizu driver in McLaren, or the Baccarel's driver, shall I say. As you said, it's not exactly worked out for Shizu Kuhn for this double points race. Obviously invalidating on the first, invalidating in the qualifying, just did not help him whatsoever. Speed Quim picking up a 3-second time penalty, down in 15th position, 21 seconds off of the back of the rest of the grid. As I said, I believe everyone has done all of their stops, and in fact the hype is coming in for another stop, so the Ecos unfortunately is not working out for him whatsoever. So yeah, further up in front though, Blizzard, or Matthew Alder, is actually starting to catch ever so slightly up to the back of Nathan. However, I think it's too little too late. I think Nathan, I think he's just driven a race on his own. He's just going for a nice little Sunday drive for a charity event, to be honest with you. And who can blame him? He's done very well. As I said, I personally, I think Nathan does deserve these full 50 points on that. So very nice driving from him so far. And yeah, as I said, he's played this to perfection. He's put the double points in, or the Relentless guys have put the double points in for this race specifically, and it's worked out.
I mean, and you can't fault the drive in any way. You know, it's literally perfect. He qualified on pole, he got a beautiful start, got away very quickly, and has just controlled the race, and slowly but surely pulled away. Matthew Alder is at least matching his pace now, but I think Nathan is just cruising through now. He's just been dominant, as we've got a contact further back. This George Nader has gone off there. There's a break in the train with Verstappen, so maybe those two, after battling the entire race, have they come together? But the Alpine driver, who's been in the wars all the way through a great race, in the first event, but I think, yeah, he's just come into contact, slips down the order. He's down in the 8th, which I think he will keep, but yeah, that's not optimal at all for George Nader. Do you see what happened there in the background?
It wasn't actually any contact. George Nader was, I think his tyres are just starting to drop off quite significantly, and Verstappen was just sort of sitting behind him. George Nader spun on his own, so Verstappen didn't have any contact with him at all in that point, and he now moves up into 6th position, 2.5 seconds now behind that train up in front. So I think that's probably going to be the best way he's going to finish. He's in P6. As another spinner is the other Haas of TTG Waffles down in 17th, now getting overtaken by Mason for 17th position. But yeah, no, that was definitely a fault of just George Nader. There wasn't any contact from anybody else. George Nader just spun that on his own. A bit further up the field though, Sam Corby still keeping to the back of Reigns and Yeren and Matthew Alder. As I said, 7.8 seconds now separates Matthew and Nathan. Only way that they can really sort of only way that Matthew can catch up is with with him having a spin or getting a puncture or whatever, but I don't think he's going to be in line to get any of that happening. So yeah, I think that's just how it's going to go at this present moment. I think I think Nathan has won this. I think Matthew's going to end up dropping down behind Yeren and possibly behind Sam Corby because of that 3-second time penalty. So Yeren's going to end up finishing in 2nd, and I think Sam Corby's going to end up finishing in 3rd as George's Nader down in 8th adds to his woes and picks up another 3-second time penalty.
Yeah, just another blow to his race that he didn't really need. Of course, a very positive start. Of course, a brilliant first race. But yeah, ultimately, just hasn't turned out the way he was looking for. But yeah, Nathan maintaining that 8-second gap, just very comfortable there. Just about 2.5 laps to go for the RL and the McLaren. And yeah, he's just cruising. There's not really much else to say there. The race has begun to die down in the last few laps after, well, frantic, breathless action all the way through. But at the moment, yeah, Nathan in complete control and just bringing the car home at this stage. Matthew Alder, of course, will be praying for penalties for Jeroen and Sam Corby for those guys to drop back, but those guys just need to stay in the train, and they've pretty much got that. Keep it between the lines, that's all they need to do in these final stages. 2 laps to go in Portugal as we draw towards the conclusion, and yeah, it seems to have calmed down quite a bit, and there's a few battles still out there on track at the moment. That one for P2 is still going on, but I don't think anyone's really that interested in going for a move. As I say that, Sam Corby going to the outside of NLR Reigns is going to breeze through on the straight, gets through into turn 1 with the outside. He goes through up, does the Ferrari up to 4th. And now he, of course, is going to try and hunt down Jeroen because it's in his interest to try and grab that. If he can get Jeroen, that could be P2 on a plate for him, but he doesn't want to lose too much time. So the rest of his lap, he's got to try and set it up, and Jeroen now has got to push, which could have an impact on Matthew's P2. So let's have a look at how this is going to play out, because Jeroen and Sam Corby still battling it out for those minor steps on the podium.
As you said, 2 more laps to go, and all of this battling going on just makes it very, very interesting to say the least. Vapor Russell down in 10th position, also maybe trying to eye up a move on WRR Falk very, very soon. Although I think Falk managed to get the move done on Vapor Russell down that last DRS straight. So yeah, unfortunately for Vapor Russell with that penalties as well, not going to help him out whatsoever. And in fact, Val could still jump up ahead of a few of the guys up in front of him. He's got within the 6-second gap of George's Nader, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, George has actually got 2 sets of time penalties. So yeah, 6 seconds to his name, 9 seconds to Henry's name. Falk needs to just do a little bit more just to solidify that he'll get up ahead of George's Nader with the penalties. But now onto the final lap of the race, and we'll go back to this train up for this P2, because I don't think any of this is over at all, Dan. You can start to see all of these guys are now just closing up a lot more to the back of Matthew Alder. Jeroen maybe going to try and opt to go for a move, because you can see the red flashing light on the back of the Alpine's car. However, it's not only his car, it's pretty much all of the cars within this DRS train other than Sam Corby, who's now, I think his red light is going to be flashing very, very soon. But he's using that ERS as much as he can, to the point where he doesn't have to have that red flashing light on the back of his car of the draining of his ERS. So yeah, I think Sam Corby, we may see some sort of move come very, very soon on Jeroen. Just keep our eye out on it.
Yeah, and also keep an eye out on our race leader, and at this point, race winner elect at the moment, Ariel Nathan, is in complete control of this race. This is a launch, I think, from Ariel Reigns, who goes up the inside and tries to get through, and has that just compromised Sam Corby enough that he won't get that place. We have to look up towards, though, Ariel Nathan. Lights to flag, pole position to win. It has been dominant. He has not put a foot wrong all race. The double points come the way of Relentless with Ariel Nathan, who wins the day. Matthew Alder, a brilliant recovery drive to P2 on the road, but it will go the way of Ariel Jeroen. Sam Corby, another podium for him. What a great set of races it's been for him. Matthew gets 4th, Reigns P5, Verstappen 6th, from ART Henry P7. George and Nader, it's going to be a big battle for that run to the line between him and Falk. Falk coming through now. He is just going to miss it by half a tenth between them. He finishes 9th. Russell with that late excursion from the track falls to 10th. Kuhn crosses the line in 11th on the road, but Keller Blue will jump him, as will Charlie Harris. Kuhn slipping. Actually, Jack's Turismo jumped all of these guys, went to 11th. Just shows what Keeping It Clean can do. I think the other guys are just going to say in the same order. It's going to be the Dutch Missile, Speed Quinn, and ESW Mason. Neon Waffles and Hype have already seen the checkered flag. That will be everyone finishing the race, which is great to see. But yeah, 33 laps, great battle for P2, which was certainly the highlight of the race. But in terms of the win, no real contest. 9 seconds is the gap for Ariel Nathan, and yeah, really, at no point in this race, not even the start, was the Ariel driver ever threatened.
Yeah, no, without a doubt. And I'll tell you what, you can't forget about Matthew Alder from the back of the grid, ending up finishing in 3rd position in the end. What a race that was from him indeed. So yeah, as I said, very well done to him as well. And yeah, as I said, I think I think the things are now going to start to get a bit more spicy in that. That race, that was spicy, but I think things are going to start heating up now a lot more, Dan.
Yeah, certainly. It's going to be great. Now, I'm not sure when exactly it will be, but we are going to hand over at the end of this race. So this is going to be the last you'll hear of us two as a duo in this event. So we'll just look forward to next up. You're going to be hearing... and for the next race, the 3rd round at Monza, from Gareth Hall and X427. So keep an eye out for those guys coming through. You can see the results on your screen now. That is how things have worked out. And yeah, great play on the double points from Ariel, and also a really, really great play on the back of the grid start for. Hang on, let me try again. Bottle job boys, that's the bottle job racing. There we go. And ultimately, the play on the double points hasn't gone all that well for Barcaros. So you can see that's the contrasting fortunes you're going to get all the way through this event in terms of the way that things are going to work out. So yeah, Nathan with the victory and a huge haul of points to Relentless, and with 2 podiums to the first 2 races. Could they be a threat potentially for fighting up for some of the top places? But like you said, it's going to be spacing up. We will eventually hand over, but yeah, that's the first 2 races down, and yeah, event is already going great, off to a great start here.
Yeah, no, it certainly is. So, as I said, or as Dan said, that is it for the both of us. Well, for me, for myself anyway, until a little bit later on at night. I'll be racing sort of about 3:15 in the morning, I think it is. So, I know you've got a race very, very soon.
Yep.
So make sure you're obviously watching for that as well. But yeah, we will hand this over very soon to, I believe, as you said, Gareth Hall and X427. So thank you, everybody, and I will be back doing comms, I think, during the night as well. So make sure you keep an eye out on that one. But yeah, I'll catch you in a bit.